do, do.
Hello and good morning. Welcome to this week's episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL. And man, I put a fantastic show together for you today. But before we go any further, let me introduce this amazing panel of incredible gamers. First up, the man who could make Sam Kennison blush and is also known as No Chills, my very good friend, Noof Nukem. Welcome, my friend.
Boom, boom. I'm up like a morning erection. Let's get ready to roll, people. Let's do this. Woo!
and it's already off the rails. I love it.
I know, right?
Oh, man.
Next up, we have Invader from Invader Gaming. But you see, he's very professional in the way he breaks down gaming, and he makes a lot of sense, which is why I'm a big fan of his channel, and you should be too. Welcome, Invader. Thanks again for hanging out.
Woo! Anytime, bud. And, good morning, everybody. And good morning, my friends. It's Invader here. And, hey, I'm excited to be on another episode of Boom's Morning Show. And, of course, being joined by this awesome assembly of guests he has, such as fellow Game Dosage member Noof Nukem, as well as just these other assembly of badasses. Hey, look, I'm locked. I'm loaded. Now let's get this show a-rolling.
Well, thanks again for being here. Next up, a couple of new first-timers for the podcast, but I've also been a big fan of their work. The first one up is a proud member of the Scumcast on Saturday with the lovely Luca, and you probably know him as the guy who says his opinions are his own, and that is Gaming Forte. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Man, I appreciate it, Boo, man. I'm always listening to this show before I go to work on Friday. And just to be on here with you, Noob, Vader, everybody else in here is a real treat. And definitely want to bring a little bit of that scumcastness to this actual panel. So let's get into it.
I appreciate you being here, dude. Like I said, I love listening to you. And you know what? I definitely am very happy you're on today's show. Last but certainly not least, someone who I've been listening to for a while, and I think he speaks awesome when you hear his podcast. That is, of course, PTK Blam. Welcome to the show, my friend. I love your work. I know you hate your voice, but I think that you have a cool one. Welcome, dude.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam. Up early. I'm on that easy West Coast time, so it's early for me. Everybody else in here, I don't know how far west you guys are, but I'm up, man, for the show. MrBooMStick hit me up, said, man, can I get you on? I said, hell yeah. I'm a big fan of his and the show, so glad to be here, man. Ready to talk some games. Let's get going.
Well, I definitely appreciate you making the time and getting up early. We have another guest coming. He's a little bit late, but I still want to give him a proper shout out. He was on my Nintendo E3 post show. I think his work is fantastic, and he is one of the most upstanding Nintendo fans I've ever met. He represents that company in a way that no one does, and I'm, of course, talking about Nintendo Direct, a very good friend of mine. He will be joining us a little bit later. But you know what? Let's rip off this Band-Aid and jump right into this show, okay? On Wednesday, there was a tweet that was sent out by Larry Herb. Obviously, you know him as Major Nelson. And this tweet stated that there were going to be new hardware announcements as well as new accessory announcements at Gamescom. And, of course, the internet basically melted. I myself said, you know what? Here, hold on. Nintendo, welcome, my friend. I just gave you a nice opening. I'm glad you could be here. Thanks again for showing up, dude.
Sir, yes, sir.
No problem, brother. Well, I have a special Nintendo question for you, but we'll get to that in a second. So, in regards to this tweet by Larry Herb, he made an error. Okay, he said hardware, but he meant it was supposed to be new bundles. And of course, the PlayStation Earth Defense Force came out, and they were chopping wood like it was wintertime, and the media kind of shit on him. And I said this pregame, and I want to say it again. He made a mistake, yes, but he didn't grab anyone's crotch. You know what I'm saying? And it was some sort of a sexual misconduct kind of a accusation. He made an error. Now, I am going to say this. When you are an executive for a company and you're making six figures, and basically Major Nelson is the mouthpiece for Microsoft, right? When you say Xbox, I think of Major Nelson. Most people do. So you have to be really cautious when you're going to put these tweets out. You have to really double and triple check what you're saying. The question that I have for the panel, and I'm going to go right to New first. Did the gaming media blow this out of proportion for such a small error?
Yes, I think everybody's blowing it out of proportion way too much. This shouldn't even really be an article or a big news thing. It was a simple mistake. I agree that the man needs to be a little more careful with what he puts out there, especially, as you mentioned, pre-show, with how sort of everybody's been touch and go with Xbox-related issues over the last little while, and they've had enough bad press. So, yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, no one would have even blinked an eye if it wasn't for Tom Warren and his big asshole mouth running wild and going on with things once again, trying to find, you know, a loophole, something to crap on the Xbox brand for. So, you know, Larry fessed up, hey, it was a small mistake, but, you know, it ended up being a huge dilemma across the board. So there's really not much more to say about it other than man slipped up. He has to be a little bit more careful. I get that. But I mean, it happens. It happens to the best of us. You know what I mean? Heck, you guys got a president down there that's making mistakes every day. He can't stop his mouth from flabbergasted. Not to bring in the political side of things,
no,
but he's
but you're right. You're right. I mean?
Yeah, the president of the fucking country, and that guy has said more shit in the last, you know, six months that would have probably condemned and anybody else. But anyway, that's all I got to say on that. Just yeah, people are making too much of it.
Okay, well that makes sense. What you said is perfect, dude. Invader, I'm gonna go to you, my friend. Do you think that I mean, listen, when something like this happens, whether it be for Sony, for Nintendo, or for Microsoft, the extremists, you know, not the average PlayStation player, not the average Xbox player, and certainly not the average Nintendo player, the overly aggressive part of this community that we all have a distaste for, really blew this out of proportion. It was an error, yes, but like I said, it wasn't. He didn't murder anyone. Do you think that people are making too much of a big deal on this?
Well, I'll say it right now: fake news. No, honestly though, because it's such like a little thing that people like you said, the extremists are just like spreading about, and he's like, okay, well, he could have. Okay, you know, he could correct himself. Obviously, he meant something different, but it was just a difference between hardware and bundles. Like, you know, big deal. Everybody's acting like he touched somebody inappropriately. Like, it's so weird.
It's ridiculous.
It's overreaction on my part, and yeah, it's definitely the diehard like fans on the other side, the fanboys that are eating this all up just over a tiny minuscule thing. Big deal. I mean, it's you know, it's just a little set of announcements for Gamescom, and people are acting like it's this big huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is what it is. He did recant his comment. He fixed it. I think he deleted the tweet and retweeted it the correct way. Gaming Forte, obviously, you're a big Xbox fan. We're still all hanging on that E3 high. Do you think that this, you know, not only are people making a big deal, but can this somehow take them off their positivity course when things like this happen for Xbox?
No, I really think overall they built up so much goodwill with the community. I think the community just understands that stuff like this happens. I do agree he is an executive, so he can't make mistakes like this, but nobody's perfect in that regard. I just think when it comes to the media, and the reason I really don't watch it as much anymore is because, you know, this information came out. They wanted to find the biggest scoop that they could. Once Major Nelson said new hardware being announced, all of these different publications started having their wheels turn. They're looking for as much information as they can, and that costs money and resources. So when Major Nelson came out and said that this was an error, they felt like they put time into something that really shouldn't have put time into. And honestly, it sucks to suck on that regard, but that's what you're in media. You're in 90% of the stuff, 90% of the stuff that comes out sometimes is false information.
Yes.
You know, you have to deal with the fact that false information is going to be part of your job. And the fact that these publications want to go basically after him and saying that you need to make sure that your sources and everything are correct. Well, you need to make sure your sources are correct just like everybody
100.
else. And you get upset at the gaming community when they want to sit up here and call you out for it, but you're doing the same thing to Larry Herb and Xbox for making the same type of mistake that you guys make on a consistent basis all of the time.
Yeah. Dude,
So
that
true.
was very well said. I didn't even actually think about them making that, taking the time to actually do the story. And you know what? I know this is going to sound pretty crummy, but F you media, because you do it all the time. You're absolutely correct. Blam, I'm going to go to you because I know we talked a little bit about this pregame. Do you think that the overreaction is just because it's the summertime and there's really not a lot going on? Obviously, you see my topics. It was really like scratching the bottom of the barrel. They're interesting, but there really isn't a lot to talk about. You think that's why they went a little ape shit with this?
To be honest with you, I have a little bit of a different take. There's been a certain ebb and flow to the generation. Okay, the entire time ever since 2013, since that announcement was made. Okay, there's good things that happen, and all of a sudden, boom, something else comes along. So this is how it's been going. All right. So throughout the generation, there's been things Microsoft has done which are very good. Backwards compatibility. Tons of accessories, all these updates as far as like Xbox Live and all these little cool things. They seem to get buried in between the BS. And what I mean by BS is exactly the situation we're talking about. Because everybody, if you're on social media, everybody sent that picture, whether it be Instagram, whether it be Snapchat, or did some shit that they weren't supposed to, or they didn't mean to do, essentially. It happens with social media. You send a picture, you send a tweet, you'll send a message to somebody. We were just talking about it. You said the text-to-talk issue that you have that sends out texts that aren't really supposed to be what they are. And sometimes you have to recant those things. So it's a big non-issue to me. I don't think that's that much of a big of a deal. I mean, it is summertime. There's definitely a huge lull right now. There's not a whole lot to talk about, so people are digging things up. And actually, at the end of the day, I don't think that this is a big deal for Xbox at all. I don't even think they should sweat it. And if you look at who it's coming from, it's always the vocal minority. Like he said, Tom Warren. I've seen that guy.
That guy's a tool.
Many times. Yeah, many times. Take something that Microsoft has said or Phil has said and literally dissect it and put it all back together, and it's something completely different than what it was intended to be. So you got to look at where the noise is coming from. You know what I'm saying? So if you look at where the noise is coming from, it makes it really easy to ignore it. So I don't think in a grand scheme of things, it's going to hurt Xbox or Microsoft at all. I think it was a mistake. He came back. He admitted he made a mistake. Yep. Yes, as an executive, things shouldn't happen like that. But in this day and age of social media, it does. And it happens more frequently now than it ever has. So I'm pretty sure this won't be the last time something like that happens. But it's a huge non-issue. I didn't even know it happened until you told me this morning.
Yeah. I've been following the story because when they said hardware, there's two things that popped in my head. I said, oh shit, they're doing VR or some sort of mixed reality thing, like HoloLens is coming, right? That's what I thought. I know it's ridiculous, but that's what you think. I knew it wasn't anything Project Scarlet. You're not going to hear. Next E3, we will see it. We'll hear about it. That's fine. Not at Gamescom. You know what I'm saying? And the other thing I thought about was possibly, I was like, maybe they're going to do an Xbox One X custom console with with a game that's coming out. Maybe I thought that's what when they talked about hardware. I didn't think we were going to see anything new. Nintendo, my good friend, welcome once again. I know that it's a slow month for everyone. Everyone's trying to catch and chop down that backlog. And news has been nothing short of abysmal. But we still have to do these shows because people want to be entertained, and that's what we're doing here today.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the media really showed how pathetic that they are? That again, when you see stories like this being really blown out of proportion, you get to see the real nasty side of business, that they need those clicks. So they're going to run with a story from a guy that twisted it way out of proportion. Terrible Tom. He is the biggest tool in the industry. What's your take on it, dude?
My take is like Gaming Forte said, like they people were out doing the research. They're probably mad because they thought they had a story and then they ended up having a story. But then LA Herb, he even said in the tweet, to be clear, it was bad on my part. Xbox Wire had it accurate. So the accurate information was out there. Y'all just took what he said and ran with it. And that's really on the media. Like if you would have done your research and looked at other sources, you could have seen that, the accurate information was out there. And it really isn't that big of a deal. Like people have been saying in chat, we all knew that it wasn't going to be a brand new Xbox. If you thought that was the case, you were mistaken. And like you said, it could have possibly been VR, but the correct information was out there. You just didn't do your job and find it, and you went off one blog post. And I don't blame you, Slayer Herb. He is the mouthpiece of Xbox. Like if he says something, everybody listens. Okay, I get it. But at the same time, that's on y'all. And if y'all want to be mad about it, I don't know what to tell you. It's clear. It is pathetic at that point. And Xbox has become the gaming media's whipping boy, so it's also more so annoying than anything else. But it's on the media, bruh. It's not on him. I mean, it is on him partly, but that part of it's on the media.
You know what? You're 100% correct. You're absolutely. Everyone had a great point on this, but you know what? This is the negative part of this topic. Let's move to the second word that was used: accessories. Now, we all expected that we were going to get to see what the Elite 2.0 was at E3. Sadly, it wasn't there. I actually think I don't even know where they could have put it, to be honest with you. I think it would have been an afterthought. So I think maybe we're going to see it at Gamescom.
They could have did it later that week in one of those.
They could have did it. You're right. One of their smaller shows, they could have been like, okay, listen, folks, here's the Elite 2.0. Boom, here it goes. Does anyone on the panel have an Elite controller?
Yeah, I do.
Oh man. Do I have an Elite controller? Hold up. Wait, hold on. Let me get it.
I do not have an Elite controller. That's because my kids would ruin it.
See that corner over there?
Oh, very nice, dude. That's dope. Dude. Okay, so I'm gonna go to you first because I had to, but I have my Gears of War Special Edition, which is I don't use it all the time because the first one broke, and it was a big to do to get the replacement. Actually, what they wind up doing is sending me the plain regular one, and I kind of tweeted about it. And guess who came to the rescue? Greenie got in touch with me personally and made it right. And you know what? He told me to keep the other controller.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, Aaron Greenberg came through in a pinch, man. I was so upset because I was figuring, let me go to eBay, $800 for the Gears of War. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's crazy.
So I'm going to go to you first. You obviously are a fan of the Elite controller. I think that it is probably the greatest controller in the history of life. Let's just say that. I've been gaming for guys. Again, the old man in the room stands up. I have a cane. It's hanging out to the side. I've been gaming for 40 years. And I've owned every console. And in the history of my gaming career, which is what it is, I have never used a controller that felt more right in my hands. Are you excited for the Elite 2.0 with all of the so-called? Because remember, nothing's confirmed, but we've been hearing, three level trigger locks, being able to tighten how the joysticks move, how loose and how tight they are, all these different things that they're going to add to it. Are you excited to see it?
Oh man. As you can see, I love my Elite controller. Yep, I love it. It's like I'll just give you a quick story of how I ended up with 3 of them because I have only one of them is out of the box and the other 2 are still brand new in the box. I bought my Elite controller day one. Just like I think a lot of people's, their Elite controller started drifting to the left. And I ended up having a warranty on it, so I replaced it, and I never had a problem with it since. There was a couple of promotions that GameStop was doing where they were giving you $50 for any regular controller that you traded in towards it. So I took my day one controller for my Xbox when I first got it. I took that and traded it in. I had an extra controller. I took that and traded it in. And I got my second Elite controller for 50 bucks.
That's wow, dude. That's a steal.
I was like, dude, 50 bucks, get rid of 2 controllers to get the best controller ever made. Gotta do it. And then I got my third one when I bought my Xbox One X at GameStop, and they were doing the bundle where you get 50 bucks off the Elite controller when you buy it with the Xbox One X. I was like, well, I think I'm gonna get a third Elite controller because it's dude.
You just never know.
You just never know. So it's like I am a huge fan of this controller. The only one I wish I would have got my hands on was that Gears of War one, but it went so fast, and I refused to spend $400+ for that controller.
It's ridiculous. I wound up getting it from the Microsoft store. I went on there, pre-ordered it the day one, and thankfully I was able to get my hands on it.
Yeah, definitely. And the biggest thing that I'm really looking forward to is just the improvements they make to it. I always felt like the Elite controller is by far the best controller that you can hold in your hand. But I do want them to improve the tightness of the actual thumbsticks. That's the one thing that I had somewhat of an issue with, not too much. But if I'm nitpicking on one of the better controllers I've ever held in my hand, that would be it. I just like the way it feels in my hand. It's like whenever I hold that controller, I feel like anything else that I have is inadequate. I can't even play games without that controller.
It has that certain heaviness that just goes in your hand and it just feels right.
Yeah, I agree. It does. And when I was and you're absolutely right about E3, and I didn't really think about that because I was heartbroken when I didn't hear about this controller at E3. But now when I go back and think about all the things that they talked about at their conference, it would have probably got lost in translation because they talked about so much stuff. So this is going to be the best opportunity for them to talk about it. The one thing that I really want the Elite controller to be is customizable. I want to be able to go to Xbox.com. I want to be able to go to the design lab, and I want to make that Elite controller my own. If they can tell me that, I will pay $200 for that controller.
Yeah, you know what? Well, for the extra $50, it would be. It would fall in the line of how much those controllers are a little bit extra than the regular ones. So being able to design your own Elite controller, I think, is really the next step in the evolution of that program.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it makes sense, and you know what? They should try it out and gauge it. See if people are, because I think people would want to. Again, this isn't just a regular cheap piece of plastic thing that you go to Walmart and buy. You're technically investing in your gaming when you buy one of these because of the price. I mean, a SCUF controller regular is $200,
depending on the setup. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, they can go as high as $300, which is freaking outrageous. But listen, this is a craft. And like a construction worker, you can't have shitty tools to do work, right? So you need good controllers, and this is the best of the bunch. Blam, I'm going to go to you, brother. What do you think about the Elite 2.0 possibly showing up at Gamescom? Do you think they really kind of have to let the cat out of the bag already?
I think it's something that people wanted. Something that people have been looking for. I love the fact that what he just said, because that was right where I was going as soon as I heard about this topic, was I'd love for them to actually let people be able to customize that controller because it's such a premium product that I think it'd just be a nice feather in their cap if you were able to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, to me, it just makes sense. I'm excited about it. I don't even have an Elite controller just yet. I've kind of held off on buying one. But I'm definitely going to purchase one here sometime soon. And if they do come out with, the ability to go in and customize it, another thing I've always wanted them to add too, but I don't know if this is actually possible because people are kind of assholes, or logos, like be able to put logos on a controller, some type of a logo. I just feel like people are just gonna put like penises and breasts on the controller if you get that.
Come on.
Oh my God, you are so right, dude. You are so right.
Quality control has to be real on that one.
Yeah. So I know maybe they'll just like cut out that ability to do that or something. But I just think people are too smart for that. They'll put some type of picture together to make it look like one or something. But I don't know. But I really like that idea. I think it's the next logical step. I mean, you can only fine tune that type of controller so much. I mean, what else can you do besides add some, like you said, the 3 stops and maybe just a couple little things to tweak the controller just slightly. Smaller dead zone, all of that kind of cool little stuff. The controller is only going to be minimal like difference as far as like what it's able to do from the original Elite, only because it was such a lot of R&D went into that controller. It's made from a like competitive standpoint, to be useful just for a regular person. Also, if you're like a competitive player, you play everyday esports, things like that. So that you have that competitive edge. But I think that if they add some type of customization to it, I think that's going to be what I get excited about. I mean, the controller is going to be great. It's going to be phenomenally made. It's going to work probably excellent. But as far as like the customization, the colors, the buttons, different things. I mean, I know you can still put your little gamer tag on the controller, right? You can still do that. The little words, like
you can put it on the front. Yeah,
you can put it on the front. So yeah, maybe maybe some type. Maybe sometimes not fix that idea, but maybe enhance that idea. Maybe to add a logo or some feature you can upload from Twitter or YouTube, whatever the case may be. Something like that is what I get excited for. I know the controller is going to be great. The tech is there, so I'm not worried about that. But in as many words as I can say, hell yeah, I'm excited for it. And it's probably going to be my first Elite controller I pick up as the second version. So I'm really happy that they're going to be showing it.
Nice. Well, I think we are going to get it. Nintendo, I'm going to go to you, brother.
What's up, man? I think that you guys have all hit all the good points on hit the nail on the head here with all these points, and I think that Gamescom would be a good point, a good place to do it, because like you said, E3, there were so many announcements left and right at E3, so many games revealed. Like you said, it would have just been lost. Here's our Elite controller, go pre-order. I think it would have been lost big time. So I think Gamescom is probably a good spot to put it if this is true. And you guys are just making me excited with the whole customizable aspect of this.
Yeah, that's great.
My only thing is like I'm with Jago. Jago's been talking about how I'm rough on controllers as it is. I drop controllers all the time. I don't know if I would be able to fathom getting a Elite controller. On top of that, I have 3 kids, and I've literally had to buy 6 Xbox controllers. I would have to probably lock it up. Here's the deal, man. I've tried to lock up a bunch of stuff, and my kids still get a hold of my stuff.
Yeah,
so,
kids.
I don't know. I don't know if
children are like super spies, dude.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man, I got 3 myself. I know exactly what you're talking about.
But I do want one. I do want one. Because like I said, it from what I've heard, it's a great controller. It feels great. It feels great in your hand. And like you said, it's the best controller in the world. I don't know about that much, but
you're probably going to say the Pro controller is the best one.
No, I don't like the Pro controller. But
you don't like the Pro controller? Wow.
It's all right. It's all right. But we can talk about that. We can talk about that later. But yeah, man, like I said, it makes sense for this to be at Gamescom. It would make a lot of sense. I'm also looking to see like what these bundles that they're going to be announcing are going to be as well. Like, what are the possibilities there? And
let me tell you something, dude. I have a sneaking suspicion that, and again, this is me saying this. I did not get this from any source, so take this with a grain of salt. This is just my kind of wish, dropping the quarter into the well kind of a thing. Imagine if they offer a new Xbox One X with the new Elite 2.0 controller inserted into that without the regular controller. So that's your controller that comes with it. It's a couple extra bucks, but you're getting the Xbox One X, maybe possibly with a bigger a 2 terabyte drive, right?
Ooh,
and adding a 2.0 Elite controller to that bundle package.
How much is that bundle though?
I'm gonna say $5.99.
$5.99. Well, here's the deal, because you hear the rumors that they're already starting to consider price drops for the X already.
Yeah.
You're hearing that would be probably one of the dopest bundles they could ever do. Think about it, because they always say that the Xbox One X, this is for the hardcore gamer. This is for the hardcore people. If you want performance, this is it. If you bundle the Elite controller with it, and you're already considering a price drop, and you say, okay, here it is. Instead of $4.99, we're dropping it to maybe $3.99. But here's the bundle with the Elite controller for $5.50 or something, or $5.49 or something like that. That would be probably one of the dopest packages they could do. I mean, that I would consider it.
It makes sense to drop the price if you're going to give them an Elite V, the second version of the controller. At that point, you could definitely drop the price and bundle it together. I think most people understand if I'm getting a brand new controller like of that caliber, then I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not Xbox is not gonna hurt from the price drop on the X, you know, because you're bundling that controller.
It's a perfect marketing if you think about it. If they keep, like you said, they say that the Xbox One X is for the hardcore gamer, for the performance. If you want that, here's also, if you want to take it to the next level, here's an Elite controller to go with it.
Right.
Like, 100%. I'd be down for that.
Nice. And Vader, I'm going to go to you next, brother. What do you think about? Do you think that it's likely we're going to see the Larry Herb or someone debut this at Gamescom?
Well, you know, we've all heard the rumors. This thing has been in the news for a little while now. Yeah, exactly. And everybody would like to see some improvements. I think, like a lot of other people were saying on the panel, that it would make a lot of sense for it to appear at Gamescom, specifically the Inside Xbox show, because I could just see them. They could pull out the old controller in one hand, and then they got the new one. They're showing it off on their briefing there on Inside Xbox, showing like all the new stuff. And I think it would be a good move. It's a smaller, okay, I mean, Gamescom, it's smaller than in the press from E3, but it's a huge show, and it could get some really good
it's actually a bigger show as far as like people going to the show.
Yeah,
that's
traffic over there is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's correct. Just in the I guess the overall media, anyways.
Yeah, it's smaller.
But as for, I do have an Elite controller. I really like it. I'm holding it in my hand right now. And as a console gamer, I always like the simplicity of gaming. So I always appreciated that everything I can just do on the fly, just interconnect everything. Everything's so simple, easy to do. I do have some minor nitpicks with it, improvements. I would like to see PC connectivity, you know, Bluetooth. I think that'd be some really nice added value.
That's one of the advancements as well.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fantastic. That'd make a lot of sense, especially with them trying to do, you know, the whole Play Anywhere thing and all the PC stuff. I think that would make a lot of sense as well. Maybe I'm just nitpicking here, but I think it could shed a little bit of weight. It's noticeably heavier than the standard controller. And while, look, I do understand that it appears that there's more premium parts and additions to it. You know, it could definitely go on like a bit of like a Weight Watchers program, and, you know, just cut back on the Big Mac and catch my drift. No, but overall, no, I mean, it's an excellent controller. I mean, I recommend it to everybody. It's just, you know, there are things that they could do, and you guys talked about, you know, more personalization to it, and yeah, just overall, it's an excellent controller. I recommend it, and I would love to see it at the Gamescom show, because I could see them announcing like a whole bunch of smaller things. Right, like this controller, like mouse and keyboard, possibly, but we'll see. We'll see.
The thing is the white gloves going to come out when he avails.
I know.
You know what?
Right? White gloves, man. I need to know
Someone said this on one of the. I don't remember. You know, I can't remember who said it, but it was hilarious. It is almost a sin that white gloves with the Xbox logo on them aren't being sold on the store. I'm sorry. Let's get that done. Marketing 101. Sell the white gloves. Noob, I'm going to go to you, brother. Are you excited for the advancements that we could possibly see about the Elite 2.0 controller possibly wreaking its head at this year's Gamescom? Oh, I think he's on mute. I don't think he knows that. Okay. Well, listen, we know what we're going to do is we're going to...
Hey, I'm back. I didn't realize I was on mute. Okay.
Oh, okay, no problem, dude. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know everybody was waiting, hoping I'd stay on mute.
No. You're here for a reason. We love Noob.
At least the chat. Look, dude, pretty simple. Yes, I'm excited. I mean, as a male who's not well endowed, it's finally nice to hold something heavy in your hands for a change. So,
oh my God.
so there's that. I don't have the original. I've seen a lot of my friends do have it, and they've been raving about it ever since it came out. But here in Canada, the Elites go for 180, and just for me, I just can't justify $180 for a controller. Just, I mean, like I said, unless it's gonna come with a pair of white gloves and do a little extra, I don't know. But you know what? At the same time, you know, Microsoft has had more controllers and accessories than the Kardashians have had collagen implants. So that's the other side of things. It's pretty exciting. I can't wait to see, you know, what they do bring out. I mean, obviously a new improved controller is going to sell like hotcakes. I know there's people chomping at the bit to get one, that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, having the tension in the control sticks would be fantastic, amongst other options, you know. And it's the durability, and I just love the look of the controller. I've seen the controllers. I've never even held one, but they look really damn cool. But one thing most people haven't alluded to, and he did talk about bundles. I totally see a Forza Horizon bundle on the horizon, pardon the pun. I definitely, you know, with that game launching in just a few months' time and coming out within that window, I think there might even be a custom Forza Horizon bundle. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes,
because the game blew the doors off critically when the last one came out. Not only that, I mean, it sold exponentially well. So I think a Forza Horizon bundle makes sense. I also could possibly see some sort of a bundle, maybe packing in a game like We Happy Few. Now that Microsoft owns the studio, there could be a marketing deal there to try to promote that game and build up a little hype for that studio and their future products. So there's tons of possibilities, you know what I mean, for Microsoft this year to show off some of that stuff. But I definitely don't think we're going to see anything like you know, another form of Xbox, just some different holiday bundle deals that are around the corner, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, look, any Xbox news that that's on a positive note, of course, it's always going to be good news. I'm excited to see what they're going to bring, but you know, a lot of people don't know this. They're not having your traditional showing at this year's Gamescom. They're doing a special edition of their TV program, the Xbox show.
Inside Xbox.
Yeah, that's what it was. It escaped my brain. Inside Xbox Special Edition is going to be at Gamescom. And listen, I have been a proponent of the show in the sense where I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I think that with new stuff that they're going to show off. Now, there's also rumors that they're going to show off 1 or 2 games that are coming out this year they did not show at E3. So I'm excited for that. What do you guys? You know, this would be a quick one because but I want to get everyone's opinion because you know we're talking about Xbox. Is anyone on the panel? And I'll go to you and Vader first. Excited for the Gamescom edition of Inside Xbox?
Well, I've kind of been mixed about Inside Xbox since it got revealed and whatnot the past couple of months,
right.
And yeah, and rightfully so. I personally don't hype myself up for the Inside Xbox show, but they've had some nice announcements recently. They've done a pretty good job getting some better stuff on there. I don't know. I don't know if what to really expect. It's going to be a whole bunch of probably lower key announcements, I would imagine. There might be 1 or 2 games, but they might be, again, on that lower key announcement side. I'm not expecting very much, in all honesty. Again, maybe some bundles, maybe some, again, slightly lower hardware stuff, or sorry, like... again, accessories. That's why I meant accessories. Right. I'm pulling a Larry Herb here. No, I'm just like I don't really expect all that much. They pretty much blew their load at E3, but
yes,
they might have some smaller announcements. Maybe
we'll see Below, possibly. We'll see some
Below. Yeah, that's a possibility. Or hey, they might announce some kind of a remaster. You never know.
Yeah, at this point, I'll take anything that's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's you bring up good points, dude. Gaming Forte, brother. I'm going to go to you. I know that we've all been disappointed. Not all. I can only speak for myself. I can't say everybody. You know, I go into these shows with extremely low expectations. I understand that some people think that every show is going to be an E3, and if they're going in to think like that, you're going to be disappointed. But do you think that because it's Gamescom and because they're doing a special live event, are you expecting anything more than what you would see on the regular show?
Oh man! So the last 2 episodes, I went into them. I went into them with I didn't go into with any expectations, and even then, my expectations weren't even met, which is sad. But I just think overall, they just need to have a clear message in what these episodes are going to be. I do know that they do post like what's going to be in them ahead of time so people can temper their expectations. But still, when you're doing a 45-minute to an hour show, you know, you're hoping to get some semblance of something that you're going to be interested in. Like the last one, We Happy Few actually got. I will say this: I did get a little bit more excited for the game after.
Me too. I agree. Yes,
watching that part because they did a real in-depth dive into the game, and I got more interested in the game. So last episode really didn't bother me as much. It was just, you know, overall, I just don't know what the direction that they want to go with the show. And I think we all have the same feelings when it comes to Major Nelson needing to take a back seat and be behind the camera versus in front of the camera.
Yes.
So I think that is, I think that honestly will be the biggest change that they can make to the show. But when it comes to Gamescom, I'm just expecting like everybody else. I'm expecting probably they'll do their hardware announcements there. I think we're going to see kind of a mirror of 2016, because if you think about the games that are releasing this year, you're going to have the Madden bundle probably because they had it back then. You're going to probably have a Battlefield 5 bundle because they did have the Battlefield 1 bundle, which was the green Xbox One S.
Yep.
So I think you're going to see stuff like that. I do hope that some of the games that didn't have release dates at E3, we probably get a release window or a release date. In like even if it's for like games like Ori, if I can just find out when that game is actually coming in 2019, that will be worth the wait of just suffering through whatever they're doing on the show. So I think that that's the biggest thing that you should really be looking forward to. I don't expect to see a bowl of controllers like I did last year. I do think they're going to talk about controllers, but I don't think it's going to be this massive bowl like they had last year. So
not the glass bowl with all the controllers.
Not the glass bowl. Not the candy bowl with controllers in it. So I don't think that's going to be the case. But outside of that, it's just I just want to be surprised with something that I didn't know was even on a horizon. And, you know, that could be anything, honestly.
Okay. Well, you make a lot of good points. Blam, I know that you have limited time, so I kind of want to get to you.
Okay.
In regards to Gamescom, we're excited because it's another gaming show, right? We're all gamers. Yeah. Anytime you get any, gaming news, especially a big show, we all look with, rose-colored glasses because we're expecting something unexpected. Because it's Gamescom, because Microsoft is in the limelight and they're looking to kind of really turn this ship. Are you expecting anything from inside Xbox more than what you would find on the regular program?
I don't know. The funny thing about Inside Xbox is I have the same relationship with that show as Gaming Forte does. As far as like the direction that I think the show needs to go, as far as Major Nelson not being in front of the camera and maybe them grabbing another host and just having him maybe just produce and direct the show. Now, as far as my expectations for this particular show, I think it's going to be a little bit better. It almost has to be because it's at a major event, so it's not going to be just an everyday Inside Xbox. We're sitting in Major Nelson's office, him doing the show, whatever the case may be. It's at a major event. You have to put your best foot forward. In that event. So there's going to be a lot of things shown. Now, one thing I think can happen, and I think nobody's mentioned it yet, and the shout out to whoever mentioned it in the chat, because somebody brought it up, is that Phil did say when they were talking about the acquisition, or when they were going through the acquisitions like Playground, that they would see something about whatever Playground was doing later.
Oh, dude, that's a great point.
So he did mention that. We'll see. He kind of glossed over, like, yeah, we'll see what else they're working on later. I don't know when later means, but later could mean Gamescom. That has me kind of interested. If maybe I'm reaching there, but it could have something to do with the other game that they're working on. I'm hoping for that. Outside of that, you're gonna see, like I said, bundles, more controllers. Release dates will be nice for some of the games that we know that are going to be coming down the pipeline. But I think the show is going to be a little bit better. Now I'm going to go in with just my normal expectations, but I think the show is going to surprise a lot of people. All I need them to do is hammer home the points that they started at E3. That's it.
Yes.
They don't need to do anything else different.
Well said.
They don't need to do anything else crazy or blow. They don't need to bring another 10 studios out, whatever the case may be. Although that would be nice, but they just need to hammer home and reinforce the points that they were making at E3. We're for the gamers. We're doing everything we possibly can. We have you guys' best interest in mind, and that's all I care about at the end of the day. They can show me just about anything. It could be a show full of controllers. I'm okay with that. But as long as they hammer home those points and let us know, hey, we're behind you guys. We're doing things the right way. We've learned from our mistakes. I'm 100% okay with that. So I think that's what they're going to do more than likely. But my pie in the sky here is I am looking for some type of announcement, maybe from Playground Games about a Fable, maybe something like that. Hopefully, I think even something small. It could be just a screenshot. It could be literally they could pull a Sony. I'm okay with them pulling a Sony in this situation.
Right.
Like a small little cloud in a village and saying Fable and it cuts off. I'm okay with that. Like something like that would be. I think it'd be a really, really nice. Hey, we're here, you guys, and this is something that we're gonna. That would be big news. That would be something
that would take the gaming world by storm for sure.
If they do something like that, not even with any gameplay or anything, I think it'll be a huge feather in their cap. So that's what I'm looking for, and that's what I hope they do. So
that's a really good prediction right there. Hopefully,
definitely. And you know what? All they really have to do is do what Nintendo did last E3 and just show a screenshot. Metroid Prime 4, right? You ever watch some of those reaction videos? People are having heart attacks.
I've seen the ones for the Elder Scrolls 6 or 5, 6, 5, whatever.
Right.
Right now, people are going. I seen 2 women crying. Like literally crying. They were doing a reaction together, and they were tears running down their face just by seeing Elder Scrolls 5 across the screen.
Yeah, you know what it is? Gaming is a passionate hobby, and you know what? Truthfully, I'm going to be honest with you. I love the reaction videos because those are fans.
Yeah,
they're not in the trenches of my plastic is better than yours, right?
Right.
They're true feelings that they have for a particular title, and they show it, whether it's screaming, yelling, crying, whatever. You know what? Hats off to them. But you know what? I mentioned Nintendo, and of course, I'm going to go right to my good friend Nintendo Direct. What do you think that they need to do at this Inside Xbox? I mean, it is a special event, like like the panel has already spoken about. So it can't be just Larry Herb with white gloves.
Right. Yeah, man, I think that they'll have some announcements at Gamescom. I don't put a whole lot of expectations on Xbox right now. They did enough at E3, and so they put all their chips on the table during E3. And so I don't have a whole lot of expectations for this Gamescom show. I would like to see them continue where they pick up where they left off, because I mean they gave us a lot of information at E3, and then they gave us a little bit. I'd like to see them maybe show us a little bit of what these studios are working on, what we could see down the road. But every time for me personally, every time that Xbox holds an event or an E3, I'm waiting for one game and one game only, and that is Fable. And so every time they do an event, I just keep my fingers crossed and I hope and pray for a Fable announcement down the road. Fable is my favorite franchise that Xbox has ever put out. And so for me personally, every time they have an event, I just keep my fingers crossed for Fable every single time. And so I'm hoping that, whenever he said that they mentioned something about Playground Games will be mentioned later. I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that this could possibly be that. We shall see. But that's really it. I don't think there's a whole lot they need to do at Gamescom other than just pick up where you left off from E3.
Yep.
Show us some projects here and there. Give us the Elite controller, a new bundle here and there. Not a whole lot. Just show us what you have down the road, because everybody's bashing you for not having games. If you just continue that trend, you will be doing just fine.
How would you feel if they just put a video up of a sword, the sword of Aeon, just sitting in a rock?
That's all I need, bro. No, here's
That's all they got to show. If they
That's
just
all I
show the
gotta
sword
show.
of Aegon sitting in a rock and the wind blowing through the grass, I'm like, that's all I needed.
Look, bro, all I needed, like Boom mentioned, all I needed was a mention of Metroid Prime, and I was in. All I needed for the Nintendo Direct in March was for them to mention Super Smash Brothers, and I was automatically excited. Fable, like I said, is my all-time favorite franchise for Xbox. If all they said was, boom, here's a picture or just a 10-second CGI trailer, I don't care. I just need to know this game is coming down the road, and I will be satisfied.
It's definitely possible because they did something similar last year too, where they did that with Age of Empires 4, if I'm not mistaken. Just showed off a quick little, here's the, it's in production, just a quick look at the name, and then it's just out there, right? So I could see that with a Fable announcement for sure.
Yeah.
Right, dude. I mean, that's all you need from Xbox, really. Just give us the projects that are coming a little bit. You don't have to give us a whole lot. People just want to see light at the end of the tunnel, which we already saw E3, but now they want to see even bigger light. That's all you really need to show.
Yeah. Yeah, I think honestly, and I think the fact that Gamescom is in Europe makes sense for a Fable announcement.
Yes, it
Because,
certainly does.
It's definitely, that's I won't say European centric, but it's just, the studio that created it and everything like that was all based out of Europe. Lionhead before they closed, unfortunately.
Even the humor is very European.
Is very
European.
Game style, the entire game for the most part. So I think it makes sense to do something. And like I said, this is me just hinging on what Phil said, but I mean that can be taken with a grain of salt. Right. He can mean later can mean next year. I don't know what that means, but I just think it would be a nice little, just let's throw this in just to get everybody hyped, and everybody going and the media going. So
right, I will add one. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Bray.
I was just going to say, one of the problems with Inside Xbox in itself are us, the gamers, because we're hardcores and we're always up on all the info and the news, and we follow 100 podcasts a week, So I think the problem is we've already dampened our excitement because every time the show comes on, we pretty much already know everything that we more or less need to know about most of the products we're interested in. But I do believe the show needs a little more meat and less potatoes overall. They need to shorten it up. They need to, scale Larry back a little bit. Larry's great. Nobody, he's passionate about the brand, I'm sure, you know what I mean? But in this day and age, it's all about brand perception. It's the way people perceive Nintendo as the family brand. Well, Xbox is always, at least I think it is, it's been perceived as sort of the cool brand, the out there brand. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that they need to be brash, they need to be bold. That's kind of what speaks for them, and they really haven't been overly brash and bold over the last little while. But I think they need to be. I think that's where they need to go. Is they need to bring a little attitude. They need that Sega attitude, from the 90s, a little bit in there.
The issue with that though, Noof?
What's that?
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. The issue with that is that it's a different gaming. Gaming, as far as the landscape, is different now, though. I mean, it's Microsoft. We've seen cocky Microsoft in short spurts throughout this generation.
Oh yeah, we saw it in 2013, didn't we?
They get a lot of shit for that.
Oh yeah,
they get a lot of shit for that too. Like, how dare this computer company think they walking around swinging their, their for lack of a better term, thing around. They think they doing something.
Their umbrella.
Exactly.
How dare you swing your umbrella at me, young man?
It'll just be another situation. Now, don't get me wrong. I agree with you because I think that they do need to throw their weight around a little bit more. But it's a fine line because they've been everything they do gets picked apart and dissected more so than Nintendo, far more than Sony. Yeah. So even if they do go that route, it's going to be picked apart. But like I said before, I think they do need a little bit of bravado. I'm not disagreeing with you, but go ahead and continue your point.
But Larry Herb reminds me of going to one of your favorite rock bands. When you were young and liking them, that was one thing. You ever go to a concert now and you go to like say an AC/DC concert and then like half the people in there are like now like 70 years old, they got long white hair and they practically got canes, and you're like something. I get it that they're huge fans, but something doesn't add up here. You got that awkward feeling. Well, I feel like that's where Larry's at with Xbox. It's like he it's great to have him do an unveil, but he doesn't really fit sort of like where you want your image and your perception for this generation.
Right. Yeah, they could just pay one of those YouTubers to do it.
Well, I have a good suggestion. I don't know.
Alana Pierce would have been awesome. They should have just hired her as soon as she left IGN.
Yes, I actually didn't think about that. That is a great pick because she's hip. She's very popular with the community. Do you know who I'd like to see come back to the gaming in front of the camera. Adam
I know you're talking
Sessler.
about. I knew you were gonna say that.
Yeah, dude. You know what? Say what you want about G4, about G4 Media, but man, I watched that show religiously, and I really, really liked his take on gaming.
But he's like a younger Larry.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Yeah, I mean, I do. I you know what? Now that you say that. You know what? Scratch my opinion off. I like the I like the You're right.
I like the idea.
Yeah. You know what? You're right. You're 100%. I didn't even think about that. He's a younger Larry.
Oh my gosh. Jago said Larry reminds me of the guy who gives you the sticker at Walmart when you 100%. Here's my take, bro. Here's my take, man. I get what you guys are saying. I don't mind Larry, but
I don't either.
I do get what you guys are saying. It seems like Xbox is due for I guess you could say a paradigm shift in who's in charge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phil Spencer took the helm. It feels like Larry Herb might be the next guy they might need to consider sort of being replacing as the mouthpiece of Xbox. Because I feel the same way. Nintendo similar. I'm gonna get burned for this, but I feel the same way about Reggie a little bit. I feel like Nintendo might need a new dude, but it's all on the Xbox. But I do agree. Like Larry Herb, I love the dude. He's excited. You can tell he loves the brand. You can tell he's excited about the brand. But they may be due for a new mouthpiece. But I don't mind him. I don't mind him at all.
Yeah, it's a weird situation with Larry because he's one of those guys who he has so much clout, so much pull at Xbox, and everybody knows him. He's the face. Not only he's the mouthpiece, he's also pretty much the face. He's really the only executive you see like on a consistent basis, unless you're us and we are on Twitter all the time. But if you're just like a normal average person, he's pretty much the first
guy.
That's the guy you're gonna be seeing. But at the end of the day, I think that this is a new generation. I think go ahead.
No, you keep going.
Okay, I just think that maybe he needs to take a step back. He can still be like the producer of the show as far as like content, but I think they need a new face, somebody a little more fresh, somebody
a little bit more hip. Really,
I don't want to sound like that old guy at the YMCA. I really don't want to sound like that, but I may be coming off that way. But I think they just need just a different.
If they could just clone Phil Spencer.
Or that.
Yeah, I love Phil. I love when Phil gets up to speed.
Find somebody like him. Like that's the guy you need to be sort of the mouthpiece. But Phil can't do that because he's busy.
Even AC Bongos is not bad. I mean, AC Bongos are a guy like Roby-Wan Kenobi, who's part of the Age of Empires team, and he streams all the time. Roby's a pretty charismatic dude, I think, who could promote the brand pretty well.
Yeah. Or they could just hire you, Boom. That's an idea.
Yeah, you know what? I'm always checking in the email, wondering when I'm going to get that call because I'm not working, but I do love Xbox, so it might fit. But you know what? I don't think anyone's calling me. You know what? Someone on the panel mentioned swagger, something that that has not been at the forefront of Microsoft for quite some time. And I have a story here. I pulled this late, and I sent it to the in DM, and I want to talk about it. Right now, obviously, the battle royale phenomenon is at its peak. Everyone is getting involved, right? I mean, the Call of Duty is going to have it. Battlefield's going to have it. Red Dead Redemption is possibly going to have it. And of course, right away, people start talking. So people start, don't worry about it. So people start talking about Halo possibly having it. And I got a story here that this story screams swagger and immediately puts this shit to bed. Speaking on its weekly social stream, 343 Industries writer Jeff Easterling.
I think you're going to quote this one.
Okay.
That quote was pretty good.
Yeah, this was good. Touched on the team's viewpoint for Battle Royale and whether this mode will be featured in Halo Infinite. And he immediately responded this was a strong statement. He responded to fans. Easterling stated, and I quote, "The only BR we are really interested in is the battle rifle, the original BR. So calm yourself."
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Now, I want to go. I'm gonna go to PTK right away with this. This is hanging it out from your pants and saying,
Oh yeah,
this is what I'm packing.
This is exactly what Nick was talking about.
Yes,
or I think that was you, Nick, that just brought up the bravado, the macho. No, that was that you. Maybe Noob.
That was Noob. That was man. I was the only Noob. Noob's always talking about swinging stuff around.
Yeah. I know, right? I'm sorry. The penis references are everywhere. But anyway, yeah. So this is exactly what I'm talking about, man. This is something that I like that because funny, ironically, I got a video I'm putting out about the battle royale overload situation going on right now. Yeah, I got it locked and loaded in the chamber already. But
nice.
I think that Halo is the kind of franchise that you don't touch the multiplayer first of all. You don't. I mean, you can touch the multiplayer, but I mean, you only add to the multiplayer. Battle Royale is something that's not necessary, especially in Halo. It's not. Halo is a long-lasting franchise. It's not something that's a flash in the pan. You don't need anything to prop Halo up. You don't need something that's catchy to prop Halo up or to add to Halo.
Right.
It already has that pedigree. It's already built a solid foundation. So I think something like that will be super gimmicky if they ever decided to put that in Halo. I think it would look stupid. And I think a lot of people would cause a huge backlash.
It would lose face within the community.
Oh yeah, because it almost looks desperate, like they're trying to catch lightning in a bottle. You don't need to. It's Halo. Like, what does that say about the franchise? If you say, "Hey guys, by the way, we got Battle Royale in Halo 2," that looks shitty. Like, it's terrible. Yeah. Like, that's,
right.
That's
how far would they have fallen?
Oh man,
Halo was the standard. Halo once was the standard, dude.
Halo is not like those other shooters. Like Halo. Come on now, I'm a big Halo fan. I'm a huge Halo fan.
They would have went from being the trend to chasing trends.
Oh yeah, it's not. How dare you have the audacity to put that in Halo? Like no. It doesn't. Wow. That type of shit doesn't touch Halo. Halo is fine. Call of Duty can play around with it because Call of Duty is kind of static. It kind of moves around. It does a lot of different things every year. So Call of Duty can get away with it. Even Battlefield to a point, but not Halo. Definitely not. So I think that statement is saying, hey, we're putting our foot down. We're not doing a battle royale thing. That's the end of discussion. And I like that because it's decisive. So it's not, well, I mean, we're not really going to say right now.
Right.
We're not really, we don't want to talk about it because that looks indecisive. It's fuck no. We're not doing this.
He said,
stop asking. No. So I'm okay.
No, it's the truth. Yeah, listen, that is as decisive as you can get. It's not, there's no trying to spin this to find a way in. It's the door is closed. No, we're not doing it. The only VR we are is battle rifle. That's it. That's a strong statement. Noof, I'm going to go to you because obviously it started with the swinging things, and of course you're the guy that swings everything. So I want to go right to you. Is this a strong move for 343 to come out and say this, to the public?
I think it's fantastic. It shows they're confident in their product. They're confident in Halo. And they're saying, you know what, guys, our game is strong enough to stand on its own two bloody legs. We got the Master Chief. We are the original big balls shooter. Yeah, you can go way back to Doom, but I'm sorry. It wasn't until Halo really became the juggernaut that it is that FPS games took a life of its own. Call of Duty kind of carried the flight forward and kind of since dipped off a little bit. But, I mean, Halo, when you think about first-person shooters and you go back a little ways, Halo is that franchise that most people associate with gaming. You know what I mean? It is Xbox flagship title. It still is. I mean, even kids today still associate Xbox with Halo. Although, mind you, that could be getting taken over by Minecraft. But Halo is still huge, and that's a great statement. They don't need to copy other people. People have been copying and still do copy Halo to this day, and not everybody gets that damn formula right. So I like to see a little bit of that swagger. And speaking of swagger, one guy I miss is Albert Pinello, because one thing about Albert, when Albert was in there and people used to get underneath his skin, he used to say some really cool shit. And the one that sticks out to me was after Xbox One X came out and people were talking about the PS4 and how it has boost mode, and Albert said, our console doesn't need boost mode. Our console is always boost mode. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It was fucking awesome. I love that little jab. You know what I mean? Our console's always on boost mode. But yeah, no, I think that's great that they said that statement. The new Halo is going to be massive one way or the other. I'm glad they don't have, like I said, they're not going out there trying to be other games because Halo is Halo. It doesn't need to copy and imitate other games. Let it stand on its own two legs. Let Master Chief do his thing. Let the community come back. Give people the best of the old world. Give people the best of the new world. Let them pick and decide. But just give us a damn hell of a good game, and I think it's going to be just that. And you know, that's it, man. Like I'm glad they're standing on their own two legs. Good for them.
Hey, Boom. Real quick, I want to piggyback off of that real quick. I know this is maybe a side note here, but I want to get Noof's opinion really quick. So, is anybody have the same mind after watching that Halo Infinite trailer that there's maybe a possibility, and I talked about this on my podcast before, that the game may be open world at all? Anybody ever thought about that?
Yeah, I immediately thought that. I immediately thought that.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought maybe I was on my own, so I didn't. I know Jarhead is in the chat here; he's on my show too. But yeah, I kind of the way they showed the trailer. So I mean, maybe they don't need it to be some kind of battle royale because the game's gonna be open world anyway, you know. But I wouldn't even if it wasn't, even if it was more like a regular Halo. It's still Halo. You don't touch the formula. You leave it the way it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in as a side. I wanted to know if anybody else had that same train of thought.
No, I thought that immediately from the trailer. I'm going to go to Game and Forte with this next one. This was one of the stronger statements of 2018 outside of E3. This puts to bed any doubt, and it shows confidence absolutely in the brand that it still matters. Do you think that they needed to do this?
Man, I think Microsoft just needed to be more forceful with the ways that they want to actually talk about their brand as a whole. When they said that, when this actually came out, I was like relieved because there is so much battle royale going on, and I actually enjoy it. But Halo isn't built on battle royale. Halo is built on Halo, and that is the one thing that people keep forgetting. I was listening to a couple of different podcasts yesterday, and they were talking about how Sony doesn't have that identity when it comes to that one first-person shooter that they don't have on their platform that can make it identical to their system. And Halo has that. Halo has never copied anything. Everything tried to copy Halo. Some things do better. Some things do things better than Halo do. But the thing is, Halo never went through the craze of running on walls and stuff because that's not Halo. You know, the reason people don't play Halo 5 and Halo 4 as much as they would have wanted to play them wasn't because the multiplayer was not good. It was mostly because the story and the single player was lackluster to an extent, and they needed to fix that. I'm more excited in the tweet that Marty O'Donnell put out earlier this year.
Oh, yes.
When he was in Seattle with Joe Staten, and he was with Jen Tyler, the voice of Cortana, saying it's good to be and run into run into old friends again. And then he further tweeted again that this meeting was not by chance. So I was more excited by that than anything else because honestly, if this is a precursor to something that I can see the original writer for Halo coming back, doing something, the original composer coming back, that will fix the one issue in Halo that everybody has been having over the last couple of games. So the whole Battle Royale thing, would it be nice to have it in the game? No one's going to turn features away, but we don't need Battle Royale on Halo for it to be successful.
Let me just say, I don't think the Marty O'Donnell thing was a coincidence at all. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to the headlines, but it looks like one of the main composers for 343 was, I think he just let go or he left. So I don't think there's any coincidence. I got a funny feeling Marty's coming back to compose again, dude.
Oh, yeah. Well, awesome. Didn't he go back after helping out with Destiny a little bit? I thought that was the case. Like, didn't a lot of the people from that helped out with Destiny return to 343?
A lot of people did.
Yeah. Well, a lot of them never left. A lot of them never left. There was a lot of guys in that transition that stayed behind.
Right.
In that transition. The Bungie that did Destiny isn't the same Bungie that did the last Halo. So a lot of those guys were split. Some of them
exactly, left, and a lot of them are coming back, and that's what I'm coming back. Correct. Is that this game, I'm looking forward to, because like you guys mentioned, that the whole open world feel, I can see them doing that for the single player. As long as the multiplayer stays pretty much the same or they improve on what they've done, I'm really glad that they didn't add Battle Royale, because at this point, I enjoy it. I kind of enjoy Fortnite. I like PUBG. I'm kind of over the battle royale genre a little bit. I want to leave it to the experts per se for the original games and leave it there, and let Halo just do Halo. Because like I said, Halo was once the standard at the beginning. You know, when first-person shooters were becoming a big thing, Halo was the standard. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing Master Chief. Halo 1, especially when Halo 2 came out and Xbox Live was at its beginning. Halo 2 was at the forefront, and that's all you saw was Halo, 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 Halo. Halo 3 just pretty much put that on steroids. I wouldn't have liked to see them do that. I would have cried out desperation to me. They're following the trend. They used to be the trend. Keep doing what Halo does. Just make your game the way you want to make it. Make a better Halo. You have the majority of your staff back. You guys can make a great product. Keep doing what they're doing. I'm looking forward to it. And like I said, this whole battle royale news, I'm glad that it's not a thing. When I heard those rumors, I immediately thought, no, don't do that. And now that they've confirmed it, I'm very happy with it.
Right. I mean, listen, they said a lot in a little sentence. Right. And you know what? Again, no, I'm glad my show was the first one to bring it forward, because I listened to everyone's show and no one brought this up. I think this is a big turning point for the confidence that they still have in the franchise. Invader, I want to go to you. Does this cement how important Halo is to Microsoft?
Well, as a lifelong Halo fan, I'm just glad that 343 are finally starting to get some solid messaging out. Because they haven't been doing that very well the past couple of years. Look, I'm happy that Halo won't be getting a battle royale mode. It's very clear. I like it. And honestly, like a lot of other people on the panel have been alluding to, Halo always does well when it sticks to its own ideas. Right. And I mean, okay, sometimes those ideas don't work out, but hey, other times they're successful. And I'll give you an example. Take Halo 4, for example. And a lot of players, they were, well, kind of thrown off by things like, what's it called? Ordnance in Infinity Slayer. Or, you know, having like kill streaks, for example, or even something as simple as loadouts. Those are definitely things taken from another big fish, Call of Duty.
Correct.
And it just feels very different in Halo for that formula. But then you look at Halo 5 with something totally different like Warzone and even the addition of Warzone Firefight. And it's something that it embodies familiar elements from Halo while kicking it up a notch. Right. And to me, like, how do I put it? It's for them to not go after industry trends like you guys have been saying, and for them to create their own next great experience, because in the end, that's what consumers remember you for. Not for going after ideas of the other guys, but for creating your own experience.
Correct. Staying true to what makes Halo Halo is important, and I think we're going to see a resurgence of the brand with Halo Infinite. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I wanna kind of. I mean, I didn't realize I had so much Microsoft stuff in here. You know, when I set this up, I had it a little bit of out of order. So I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, well, Halo was this, and I hate to, if you're a Sony fan, trust me, the Spiderman announcement is coming. It's going to be one of the other topics because that console looks dope. But I want to talk about it with the panel. But I kind of want to mention this. This is important. Next month marks the 5-year anniversary of ID at Xbox program. And you know what? It's important because that started at the beginning of this generation. And as it stands right now, they have shipped, this is what they have shipped, not what's still coming. They have shipped over 800 titles, which has netted Microsoft $1 billion in revenue. Okay, so obviously this is revenue for them. This is not revenue for the developers. This is what Microsoft made on the thing. Remember, they get 30%. So they made $1 billion in 5 years on this program. I just want to do a quick quote from the director of ID Xbox. This is what he had to say. If I look at the last 5 years, the fact that we're seeing repeat games and repeat studios coming to the platform makes me feel good about the job we are doing. Now, that's a big statement. I think ID at Xbox is an important part of what makes the Xbox what it is. They've always been friendly to the smaller, indie companies. Do you think that this is something that should be celebrated? I'm going to go to Nintendo. Do you think that this is a program that maybe everyone should try and copy?
Yes and no. I think that Xbox kind of was ahead of the curve here when it came to doing this.
Yes, you're right. Correct.
Like you can see Nintendo sort of doing something because they're now referred to as the indie machine, and they have so many indie games on there that it's not even funny. You can't even go through the eShop without seeing bundles of indie games. But that's a different story. But they were a bit ahead of the curve on this one. They were ahead of it big time. I remember seeing this and I was like, oh, that's cool. They're helping out the little guy. Good for Xbox. But as you see, like you said, over 800 titles, and it's netted 1 billion for Microsoft. So imagine what that's doing for the indie devs.
Yes.
Yep. So it's good on them. I don't think that I could see like Sony may be copying it. I can see Nintendo maybe copying it, but I think Xbox has already made its mark with this. And good on them. Good on them. It's great to see them help out the little guy, and it's great to see them do this. And I have been introduced to tons of indie games this way as well. So I don't see them copying that. You can see Nintendo doing a little bit of stuff there, but there's no one's going to copy this. There's no way they could.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? Blam has got to go. I'm not sure if he's still here. I want to get his. Okay. I want to get your last take on this. I know that you have to go to work. First of all, thanks for being here, dude. You are awesome. I definitely want to try and get on your show. You hit me up for when you have it, and we'll get that done because you're awesome. You were great today. But before you go, the 5-year anniversary is coming up for this program. It started with this generation. We all know that the generation did not start out well, but this is still one of the highlights of this generation for Microsoft. Do you think that Sony and Nintendo need to take a look at this and say, wait, they made $1 billion in 5 years on this program? Do you think they should consider copying it, or to me, in my opinion, this needs to be celebrated by all gamers because there are some small indies that come out that just blow your mind. And a perfect example is Cuphead. That's one of those games that's going to go down in infamy as one of the most classic, good-looking, well-sounded, well-designed games in the history of this generation.
So the one thing that Microsoft does better than the other three, as far as like how they structure the way the company works, is that innovation is like first and foremost. They're usually ahead of the curve on a lot of things, and a lot of things they don't get credit for. So, Ethernet in the first Xbox, 360 Xbox Live, all kind of cool stuff that they're ahead of the game on that they don't get a whole lot of credit for in mainstream media. But something like this is just something that, as a company, you want to reach out, because a lot of talent and a lot of great things come from reaching out to these smaller devs. A lot of these guys don't have the platform or have the ability to go in a traditional sense and go to Sony or go to Nintendo and say, hey, I got this game. They don't have the ability to do that. But you literally open the door and say, hey, I don't care what you're making, just come bring it, and we'll evaluate it. And if it's decent, you got the green light. You can do whatever you want. So I think that they pretty much open the door for a lot of these devs, a lot of these smaller indie devs, to make the kind of games that they want to make and put them on a platform where they can actually see some sales. Rather than throw it on Steam or something like that, and hopefully it does well. Maybe it catches on. No, you can throw it on Xbox, get your little marketing behind it, and see maybe your game catches on. Maybe it picks up steam. So there's been a lot of great things from this. On top of the fact, financially for Microsoft, it makes a lot of sense. I just think it's something that, you're right, it should be celebrated by everybody. And I mean, nothing but good things come from these from doing something like this. Look at all of the talent. Look at all of these games. I mean, more so now, if you guys remember the Xbox Live store, that little do you guys remember Xbox Live Arcade?
I do.
Yeah, on the 360. There was a lot of shovelware. Lot of shovelware on the arcade. There's very, very few shovelware that comes through that games at ID. There's very few. A lot of the games are really quality games. So there's a certain level of expectations also that has to come through the door. So I think it's raised everybody's game. You know, if you're an indie dev, you know you got to bring something to the table if you're going to go to this ID program or submit a game for this ID program. So I think everything across the board has been enhanced. I think it's just icing on the cake that they've made so much money for. But I think it should be an industry standard. We should always reach out to these smaller devs because we wouldn't have had a Cuphead. We wouldn't have had a Ashen. We wouldn't have had a Bastion and all these other really cool games from these smaller studios if that was not the case. So I think that's a big feather in their cap, and it absolutely should be celebrated.
Right, or those games would have been lost in the mix. Like you mentioned, there's a lot of shovelware, and like even in the Nintendo eShop, there's a lot of, like you said, just junk in there. You can't find it. The fact that Xbox takes these games and puts them to the forefront and promotes them is a big thing. And I could see the other two companies doing it, but I don't know, man.
I don't know. They don't have the Xbox already is they pretty much have
the standard.
They already did it. They already did it. So Sony could copy it, but it would look kind of
it would look crummy. Noof, I want to go to you, brother, because I really like your take on when you talk about Microsoft. You're a passionate gamer. You can just hear it in your voice. Does this program like PTK was saying, like a strong feather in Microsoft's cap that they not only are putting out AAA, $50 million games, but they're going to the lower tier, indie guys and saying, yeah, it's okay to be small. We're going to help you out.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that Microsoft has really fostered this program and hasn't chucked it to the wayside, because that's something we always fear is going to happen, that they take it serious at first. Because look, I can tell you, and I think most people on the panel will agree. Look at how serious Sony was about indies in its first 2 years of PS4. They had massive presence on their stage. Where have they been the last couple of years since Sony took the massive the industry lead? They basically, it's almost, I'm sure they haven't, but it almost feels like they've forgotten about these studios. And Microsoft has embraced them. Nintendo has as well. I mean, like I said, you see a massive amount of support coming from the Nindies, which is great. But here's the good and the bad. The good is we're seeing more great games from small developers, and you never know when today's MDHR is going to be tomorrow's Naughty Dog. The difference between the AAA dev and the little indie devs is usually a couple of things: budget, team size, and marketing. Those are the three things that they don't have, but there's talent there. Absolutely. Now, the danger is, and I'm seeing this now, Blam brought it up, there's a lot more quality games than ever, but the problem is now we're getting so many games, there's a massive glut, and everybody's fighting for the dollars, everybody's fighting for market space, and I'm thinking like they say, competition is good, but not all the time. I mean, if you got 20 burger joints on one street, what do you think is happening? Well, we're kind of starting to see that now with where I'm starting to see, like, while one studio is going to open, we're going to see closing of 5 studios because they're just not making a dent to really pay the bills and keep the lights on. They want to expand, but they got to compete. Not only do they got to compete about, from another 100 indie games that came out in the last month, but they got to compete against all the free-to-play stuff, the big AAAs that are giving people free-to-play stuff. I mean, all these great games coming out, and you turn back and you look online and everybody's still playing PUBG and they're playing Fortnite and they're playing Call of Duty, and they still got to go up against those guys. And it's sad. There's a lot of games that never get discovered because of those facts. Like I said, I go to Nintendo on the Switch and I'm mesmerized. There's so many games there. Right. It's like, man, I like I said to Mooch and Crap before, it's like, I'm not spending $20 to buy these indie games because that's $20 I just took away from my funds to buy the next Spider-Man or buy Tomb Raider or buy something. Like, some people are buying them like left, right, and center, but then what? You buy them and you don't play them, you just sit in the backlog. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of positives, there's a lot of negatives, but I'm glad that Microsoft is promoting them, at least giving them a little front row space, because as you said, it's about fostering relationships, because Microsoft's got those great relationships with these devs, and while they might be small today, they could be tomorrow's next big AAA developer, and they're going to remember which one of these big 3 companies gave them their shot in the dark, put their money where their mouth is, and supported them when they were starting up. You don't forget those things. You go back, and there's always that soft spot for those people that help you out.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I mean, look, it is an important part of what makes Microsoft. Invader, I'm going to go to you, brother. This particular program has netted a significant amount of money for the company. So obviously it's a revenue flow. But I don't think that Microsoft did this simply just to get money. Yeah, sure, that they're a business, but they have been really good, even way back in the 360 days, have been good about showcasing smaller talent. Do you think that this is something, this 5-year anniversary that's happening next month, is significant?
Yeah. I mean, you look at again the 360 era with the arcade, and they showcased a lot of the cream of the crop of the indie titles that had came up. You look at oh man, there's some games eluding me right now, but there was a whole bunch of them that they showcased that kind of stood out from the copycats, the Minecraft clones, and all that.
Yes. Yep.
And yeah, there was a lot of garbage there, but there was also a lot of good. Just man, the names aren't coming to me at the moment. But yeah, you look at this gen, and these indie devs, they take exceptional risks that larger devs and publishers just won't tackle.
Right.
You look at the art style with like a lot of people brought up Cuphead. Even Below, look at how long Below has taken, but they're allowing Capybara to take their time with that, to work on other stuff to
Ash
get
is another one. I mean,
Ashen, yep.
Yeah, and Ashen. Yeah, I was even gonna bring that up. And there's all kinds of other games, and they're like, okay, you guys keep doing what you're doing. We want to see what you guys can make that game to be. And then you also look at subject matter. Games like it was on the PlayStation first, but it's on Xbox now, and now they own the dev. Hellblade, they tackle mental illness. And then you look at a game like, what's that game that tackles blindness with Beyond Eyes?
Oh, yes, that was, yes.
But you think about that, right? You think about that stuff, and these are games that
big studios aren't going to make.
They're not going to make. And devs, to stand out, certain ones take risks. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But again, I'm happy to see that Xbox at least gives us the options and shows us these devs, and they showcase them in different ways on their store.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I mean, look, I'm very happy. There's a lot of smaller games that I would have never played. Being an Xbox fan, I saw them promoted on the store. You seen them on the pages of when you first turn on your system. You're like, oh, what's that game? I mean, again, Cuphead. I mean, those people mortgaged their homes, man, and Microsoft stood strong with them.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, go back, and add this, add that. Okay, Microsoft, we want to do this. Okay, go for it. It'll come out when it comes out. And what happened? It showed up in many of the big media sites. Game of the Year, the little indie that could, right?
Yeah.
So, did I get everybody on the panel on this topic?
I think you. I'm pretty sure.
Me. That's it.
Oh, okay. I want to make sure before Gaming Forte. Listen, I know that you chimed in a little bit. Obviously, the indie scene is important to Microsoft, but the indie scene is important to us, the gamers. Do you think that this is something that Microsoft should celebrate publicly?
Yeah, I think the reason that they even brought it up is the fact that this is good publicity for them. Yep. And what it does is it shows other indie developers that want to, inspire to make games and bring them to consoles that, hey, you bring your game to our platform, we'll support you, and you could be one of these wonders that actually make something out of nothing. And that is always a great option. We're in the generation of options right now for Microsoft. And, the beginning of this generation, they really didn't focus on it as much. And like you said, Sony really did focus on it. But now I just think Microsoft they've been so consistent with their messaging ever since like 2014, 2015. And I just believe once they get the first party together and then all that, and then they still continue what they're doing with ID and Xbox, then you're just going to have the perfect storm of all games being covered. And I just think that if you could celebrate anything, this is one of those, because these people really didn't know what their game was going to be until they got some type of backing and just the support that Microsoft can give them as a bigger company. And I really enjoy a lot of these games. I'm looking forward to Ashen when it releases. I love Cuphead. Blind Eyes. I forgot all about that game. That game was freaking incredible.
Yeah, it
So,
was. Visually, it was stunning.
Stunning, yeah,
to look
exactly.
at. Yes.
And that's where you see the risk taking. That's where you see the industry get pushed forward. For me, Hellblade was one of the best games I've ever played in my life when it came to just the way that it emotionally made me feel. And
right, the subject matter was strong.
That's what it was. And I can forgive some of the mechanics in the game because some people said that the way the game played didn't play the way they wanted it to. But I was engrossed in that game. And anytime I can sit down and beat a game within 1 to 2 days and feel very impressed and happy with my purchase, that's all I want. And Microsoft needs to celebrate that as much as they can.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Absolutely, without a doubt. I could not have said it any better. And I just want to make a very small announcement, a little publicizing here. This week's Boom's Pop-Up Podcast, I'm going to be doing a Summer of Arcade retro perspective.
Nice.
And I'm looking for a guest. If you're interested and you wanna jump on because that was an important program to you, just hit me up on the DM because I think that as a fan, I looked forward to every summer, those 6 weeks, that 6-week block, usually between the middle of June to the end of July. Those titles were always showcased. They were always fantastic. And I really kind of want to dig deep into them because some of the games that have come out are industry classics in the 360 generation. I wish they would bring it back, but let's just continue on with today's program. Nintendo, I had said I had put a subject matter in because obviously you're our resident Nintendo guy, and I don't think anyone could possibly answer this question with more class and respect than you. There was a Screen Rant interview. Yeah, you know where I'm going with this. This is great. This is great news for Switch fans. This is great news for everyone. Screen Rant interviewed former president of Nintendo, and he stated, even though he's not attached to the company, there's an interim gentleman right now, and Nick will probably be able to know exactly his name.
Furukawa.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. That Nintendo stated strongly that the company is open to allow crossplay on all third-party releases coming to the Switch. Why? Because they want to give Switch owners the option to play with others. Now, this is a tale of two subject matters here. One, Nintendo pulling off the gloves and coming into the future, right? They stepped through the door and they're here, and I could not be happier as a fan of Nintendo. Second part, and we're going to get to that in this subject matter. This pulls Sony right back into the spotlight as the resident scumbag of this generation. Nick, take it away, brother.
So with this news, bro, you can tell that Nintendo at this point, even though their hardware is with the Switch, it's a great hardware, but as far as the whole power thing narrative goes, they clearly don't have it. But you can tell that at this point, as far as offering services and things like that, they're trying to catch up with the times. With the online service coming out, the fact that they are open to crossplay because they need something to sell this online service. They honestly do, because you can't just have this online service and say, hey, we're charging you for this, but guess what? It's just going to be more of the same. Pretty much what you did have, you're not going to have to pay for. They knew that they were going to take a hit for that. So they're offering services, and they're offering a service to sell. The best way to do this is say, hey, we are 100% open with crossplay with these other platforms. So with the Fortnites, the Minecrafts, Rocket League, and with the announcement of Warframe, I could see Warframe being one of those titles if they could pull it off. That one being crossplay as well.
That would be great.
Where you can play with Xbox or PC players. You can just see Nintendo sort of moving into because they've always been the black sheep as far as they always done their own thing. Nintendo's going to be Nintendo, but you can see them sort of catching up with the trends here. And this is part of this is their way of doing it. As far as other third-party games, there hasn't been a whole lot announced, like maybe Fighter Z that could be crossplay as well. Some other games, but as far as this makes me excited only because due to the fact that Nintendo and Xbox are my two favorite gaming companies out of the three. I always grew up as a Nintendo kid. I grew up as a Nintendo kid, and then I moved over to Xbox because of Xbox Live. But Nintendo has always held a spot in my heart. And to hear this news just makes me excited. It should make everybody excited that you now have more opportunities to play with other people. I can now take the Switch wherever I want to. I don't have to just stay confined to my desk or with my console. I can take it on the go and play other games. That's also huge. So for me personally, as just, it makes me jump for joy and it makes me leap like a kid. Like, yes, finally, everything that I've wanted as a kid. I've always wanted to cross play from a kid from Nintendo and Xbox. I've had, and this just makes it even better. This makes it even better. You don't know. So hearing this news, like, it just makes me really excited. Really.
Now, yeah. Now, okay, Noof, I'm going to go to you because you're very outspoken regarding this crossplay shenanigans. First of all, great on Nintendo for stepping out into the future, right?
Yes.
Shitty for Sony, who continues to keep their head in the sand. This is a complete 360 for both companies, right? Yeah. I mean, you know, this Nintendo taking the steps forward and apparently Sony continuing to take the step backwards. What do you think about this, dude?
I mean, for me personally, it's not that big a deal either which way. I'm not even going to give Sony that much grief simply because, you know, even if I kept my PlayStation, it's something that I don't see myself using a whole lot. And I kind of understand where they're coming from a certain aspect. But I mean, it's still huge to see two competing companies kind of put aside differences, you know, and give these gamers options, because at the end of the day, it's still pretty cool, especially if you're like a Switch owner, because obviously Switch is made for mobility, like Nick alluded to. And just knowing that, say, like your kid's at home and maybe you're away on a business trip and now you take your Switch, maybe they're at home on the Xbox, and you guys can still hook up and maybe beat the next level of Minecraft, or you can go in and you know, and rock out with Rocket League and stuff like that. I mean, it's still huge. It's a massive step forward for gamers and for gaming in general. And I think at some point in time, Sony will probably jump on board. I just think they're a little bit scared of where the outcome could take them. Because like I said, you're either all in or you're not in at all. Because once you open that can of worm, the Pandora's box, things just start to escalate. And the next thing you know, this big game and another big game. And then you're talking about the content. It's not even so much about playing together, but it's the content within the games that they're worried about. Is where are they going to buy their content from? Are they going to buy it from the Xbox store or the Nintendo store? Are they not spending money with Sony store? Do you know what I mean? I think that's where the big question mark is. That's why I think, as much as crossplay is cool, I would love to see cross progression across.
That's the most important part, in my opinion.
Yes.
Take your game saves over to another platform would be absolutely monumental.
I think that's where the future needs to go, to be honest.
Well, you're seeing it with the games like Fortnite, where once you do something on Nintendo, and then you go to Xbox, you get to keep all your progressions, especially with the Battle Pass. So you can see that, you can see it as a possibility. I just think it's great because just an example of how how crossplay has been recently. I was playing Fortnite with Saltiest Gaming the other day, and he was like, "Hey, hold on, my wife wants to play." And then I was like, "Oh, cool, maybe my wife wants to play." She didn't play, but it was literally me, Salty, and his wife, and then our friend Shameless, all playing together. She was playing on a Switch, we were playing on the Xbox, and then there's been multiple times where Salty's wanted to play with his daughter, and I want to play with my kids, and we've all grouped together.
That's awesome, man.
And played with our kids on Fortnite with Switches and Xbox. So I mean, that's just a possibility that it is, and it's great. It really is a great resource, and it's good to see that those two are playing together. And it just makes the possibilities better. Like Noof said, options are great to have. It's always not fun whenever maybe one person doesn't give its consumer the options to pursue these pursue the ventures there.
Yeah, you know what? You're absolutely right. You know, options are good. A lot of people, a lot of big time, content creators, like a good friend of mine and a friend of the show, Mooch, says that this is a generation of options, and that cannot be understated. Invader, I'm going to go to you, dude. Now, what's your take on this? Do you think that even though they didn't, you can't say they didn't mean to do it, because Nintendo is being a little brash, and I like that about them. Do you think that this statement by the former president that they want this kind of crossplay on all third-party games moving forward brings, even though he didn't say it in his statement, kind of brings Sony back into the limelight?
Well, honestly, good on Nintendo, or whatever affiliations the guy has in it with Nintendo.
Yeah,
It's
he stepped down. He stepped down at the June 30th, was his
Mhm.
last day.
Yeah, exactly. Well, still, I mean, he would know what's going on there anyways. And it's great to see like another one of the big three just come out and open up about the whole cross-play issue. I mean, saying all this, obviously, it just more vilifies Sony because of recent shenanigans. Um, Again, like Nintendo, their online hasn't always been the most. It hasn't been up there with the other two when we talk about the big three console makers. But they're getting games like really popular free games like Warframe, like obviously recently Fortnite, and they want people to be able to play it on the go, and they want to have a large pool of players. Obviously, Nintendo and Microsoft, they're not the top dogs this gen, but they want to have that player base, and I could see they want to play good with the players, and it just again it increases the skepticism on Sony's side. It really does, and it puts the pressure more on Sony. I would like to see, like it was alluded to earlier, more talk about cross progression.
That's
being
important.
able to,
Yes.
yes, exactly. I think that's very important that a lot of people don't bring up. I'm glad it was brought up on this cast because cross progression is a big thing. Just to be able to bring those saves, all that information, all your stuff with you wherever you play, and that would just be very important. I think that's the next step going forward. But honestly, good on Nintendo for saying something, and it puts heat on for us to possibly make a change in some respect going forward.
Yeah,
I just got one point to make. Sorry to cut you off, Boom, but just one point that I didn't bring up, and most people don't kind of use this point. And this is a great point, I think, for cross play and how it could have potentially helped a game. And I'm going to refer to Cliffy B's Lawbreakers game. That game struggled to find an audience, even on the PlayStation 4, even though they thought their exclusivity to PS4 and PC was going to be a huge deal for them. And it turned out it didn't find an audience. But just think of it this way. Imagine if the game had finally come out to the Xbox and they had cross-play between PlayStation and Xbox. That game could have potentially found an extra audience because people do tend to like the shooters more on Xbox. And that game might potentially still be kicking and the server's still up and actually make $1 instead of going extinct. I think it's a great that's a great point to make. And they're not going to be the only game that's in this boat that could have found an extra audience by allowing crossplay, but instead had to kick the bucket. I just used that one because somehow I think it could have worked, but because it was not there, it didn't.
Paragon. That's another one that could have worked, but that was
sure
out there. There's a lot of them out there, man. And like I said, this opens the door, as you mentioned, for games to flourish. If it lets
more people that play,
if a game or more of these free to play games are coming out and saying, okay, here's the deal. We're gonna do this. We're gonna put these games on both these platforms, no matter what the cost. You can cross play. It only opens the door for these games to flourish. To me, it's a big deal personally, but I also think it's a big deal for the gaming industry as a whole.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
you don't want to strap down players. Like I said, like you mentioned, how easy would it be? Hey, I'm playing Fortnite. Oh, I can't take my Xbox with me on my business trip, but you know what I can take? My Switch that can fit in my suitcase. Now I'm in a hotel hanging out, playing with my friends. I can voice chat with my friends. I can now play with them crossplay. Now, the experience may not be as great because it is only in 30 frames, but that's not the point. The point is you get to take this on the go with you. And Nintendo is now open to taking all these games with them as well. And so it's just big that you get that option. You can't do that with Sony. And if your account is now associated with Sony, then you can't do that. And it's not a good look for Sony. It really isn't.
Yeah,
not at all.
I agree. Gaming Forte, brother, I'm going to go to you. Panel was alluding to, cross-play is important, but cross-progression is even more important moving forward for this generation. But Nintendo, they were for a long time a very closed platform, right? They didn't play well with others. They kind of they marched to their own drum. And now we're seeing an edgier, hipper kind of Nintendo, and we're seeing Sony revert back to the old man in the room. Do you think that this new Nintendo, somehow or another, even though maybe they wanted to, maybe it was a strategy to say F you to Sony, pull them back into the forefront of the crossplay shenanigans.
Okay, so listening to what everybody said here, and everybody here brought up some really good points. I'm gonna go a little different with it, and the reason that I think Nintendo is doing what they're doing. We all know the number one bugaboo for Nintendo has always been third party.
Correct. Yes,
that has been the bugaboo. It's been that forever. Even when they sold 100 million Wiis, it was still the bugaboo. So what the conversation needs to be is, why is Nintendo doing this? So if we're talking about cross progression and cross play on games, what games actually facilitate that the most? Most of us will say third party games.
Right.
So if third party sees Nintendo willing to open up the floodgates and allow cross play, and not just be a conversation, you have execs coming out and saying this is something we want to do, and we are having these conversations with other platform holders. Those developers see that, and if they weren't thinking about bringing their game to the Switch, they may think about doing it now, just on the simple fact that they say, hey, if we have this game on PS4 and Xbox One, we may not sell as much on the Nintendo Switch, but we will still sell more than we would have sold if we didn't have cross progression.
Exactly.
Because what I look at, and what I think Sony is missing the boat on, they say, John Smith, when he came out and said that it's all about the money, and I really appreciate him saying what he said, and I think Sony just gets in trouble by just trying to be condescending in the things that they want to say. Yeah. Just say exactly what the situation is. If you would have came out and said, hey, we're not doing it because we're number one, the money isn't right for us to do it, and that's what we're all about trying to do, is make money. Everybody would probably be like, man, that sucks, but they would understand it. You're getting the raw footage from the company that you probably support. But I take to the fact that if this was a thing that happened, do you know how many copies of games you would buy for multiple systems?
Yes, exactly. You'd be double dipping for sure.
You'd be double dipping all over the place. Like, yes. I double dipped up. Like, I'm a huge Destiny fan. I love Destiny 1. I love Destiny 2, even with all its faults. I bought that game on 3 different platforms with no cross progression. I bought it on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation 4. And my PlayStation 4 account is non-existent just because I refuse to run through that story again. And I was like, so if I had some type of cross progression, do you know how much more I would play on that system, and how much more I would be involved in that ecosystem? You know, if I'm not a person that played on PlayStation, I might come over there and get a PlayStation. So I'm gonna play with my friends over there for a second.
Right.
And I got all my characters. So now I'm being introduced to your ecosystem. Now I may not have known about God of War. I may not have known that this new Spider-Man game is coming out because I'm not the type of gamer that's all in the know of everything that's going on. You know, so that's how you get people in the door. And by having a short-sighted mindset that's saying, like, hey, we want to keep our players to ourselves. We don't want to share it with anybody else. Nintendo's looking at it like, hey, third-party developers, we're willing to share our fan base with everybody. And they're going to see that, and it's going to make them want to bring that game to their system because they know they have more ample opportunity to sell it. Right. Because they'll be able to play with anybody that has that game on a different platform.
Right.
And that's what I think Sony needs to do.
And cross progression, just think about this and how this would be massive for the developers and the publishers. Imagine a deal like this. Cross progression, okay, and you walk into a store and they run a promotion saying if you buy a copy of this game for your Xbox One, you can take the PS4 copy or Nintendo Switch copy half price. Everybody double dips.
Right. And there's one more component that nobody's mentioned yet, and that is the component of the resource of Panic Button that Nintendo has been utilizing. Panic Button has taken a lot of games and ported them to the Switch. If third-party companies are now seeing that it is possible, they're seeing that now, okay, Nintendo was open to crossplay. On top of that, we had concerns with bringing our game to the Switch. Was it possible? Panic Button is now proving that it is a possibility for a lot of games to come to the Switch. Give it to Panic Button. They can port it over. Now you have a game. Now you have your game on the Switch. They can do the job for you, and now you can implement crossplay. It's a win for everybody. So Panic Button could also be a huge resource in the future when it comes to these games.
That's a good bring up.
Yeah, no, that makes it. Listen, everyone on this panel knocked it out of the park. You guys really did. I got everybody correct.
Yes, you did.
Okay, yeah, just want to make sure because I'm trying to do the show and do the chat because I like saying hello to everyone. I think it's a big deal. I want to talk. I'm gonna segue into Sony because I don't want to poop all over them. I love my PlayStation 4 Pro. My wife surprised me with the God of War edition because my other one was running terrible. I love that. But yesterday they dropped a big bomb, and I'm not gonna front. I think the console looks dope.
It looks fire, bro. It really does.
It is the PlayStation 4 Pro Spider-Man edition. And man, dude, look, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. Now, I have a Pro. I have a new Pro. So obviously, I'm not in the market for one. I could barely buy a game at this point. But with that said, I want to go to the panel. Nintendo, I'm going to go to you first, brother. How?
Hey, look. I don't have a PlayStation 4. I don't.
Oh, okay.
I do not. So seeing this though, because Spider-Man's a game that I really wanted to play, right? One of the games I really want to play was Spider-Man. I'm like, oh, I really do want to try this game out, but I don't have a PlayStation 4. Do I really want to get one right now? You know, money's really tight. But seeing this,
you might have to sell a few things. Other than yourself.
To sell a few things. I may have to put a few more hours of overtime into work to make it the possibility. And I mean, honestly, it looks fire. The console looks dope. And on top of that, it's bundled with the game, and it's a PS4 Pro.
Yes,
like,
come on, dude.
All three of those things. That controller looks fire. Dope. This might be the thing that'll get me to get a PS4 Pro. Honestly, I'm looking at this now and thinking, yo, this. I may have to make this a thing.
I mean, think about this for a second. You know, say what you want about the way Sony's handling crossplay, but damn, their marketing. If I could stand up and not rip my headphones off, I'd give them a standing ovation. I love Sony for their marketing. They hammer home the game fan. They hammer home their first party stuff. Spider-Man is going to be a contender for Game of the Year. It looks absolutely stunning. It's Insomniac. And then you match that up with a dope ass PlayStation 4 Pro in that red with that controller. Dude, they're winning MPDs when that comes out.
Yes. Now I'm trying to look up how much this is going to be.
I think it's $449. It's that's what the guy. Yeah, that's what the God of War.
It's $399.
Yeah, regular price.
Bro, sell me on this. You're getting the game for free pretty much at this point. Bro, sell me on it. Where's the website? Where can I pre-order? Where can I get this thing down? Bro, I'm in. I'm all in on that one, bro.
Noob, I'm going to go to you. I know you just got rid of your PS4. I get it. I totally understand it. And I know you had gotten rid of your Switch. You realized you made a boo-boo. You got it back. Okay. Now, you're a big proponent of Spider-Man. You've been in its corner since the beginning. I've heard you on numerous shows.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. It's Insomniac. I mean, it's a match made in heaven. A $399 price tag, and I know Canada, the pricing just makes me pull my hair out. Yeah, see, it's a $100 difference. Okay, let me just ask you this. First of all, do you like the design of the controller and the system? And as a person who doesn't now own one, if you had the money, would you go out and buy this console?
Well, you know what? Honestly, I'm going to say first off, the console is fire. I love it. I mean, as anyone who even remotely likes Spider-Man, you got to say this has perked your interest. You know, and it comes with the game too. It's phenomenal. We've seen leaks of it months ago, but we weren't 100% sure it was true. So it looks like those leaks were actually correct.
Yes.
But the console looks amazing. Now, here's the deal. I mean, if I had the money, yes, I'm tempted to buy one. But the whole thing is, I had Spider-Man pre-ordered anyway for my base PS4. So it kind of like defeats the purpose, because the biggest reason I got rid of my PS4 was because ultimately it was a lot of clutter. It's another system that I'm building a backlog for. It's another service I got to buy with PlayStation Plus, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, there was just a lot of things that added up for me. Is like, is it really worth having? Like, and because the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One fundamentally in many ways are so similar, It was kind of why it made sense to ditch that one and go with, because Switch has enough variety and enough differentiating features that I can justify having that one with the Xbox, or vice versa. If you're, say, a PlayStation fan first, PS4 and a Switch, you know what I mean? But having both consoles here and then the VR with so many wires and contraptions, and I just really, outside of God of War, like I really didn't play it too much over the last few months. So anyway, I don't want to get off topic. I think the Spider-Man console is fire. Maybe I'll be tempted to pick one up in the future, but then I feel like if I do get one, like, am I just kind of like repeating the same mistake again, and I'll be wanting to trade it or sell it in 6 or 7 months? So I don't know, but I think it is going to, like you said, win many MPDs. It's going to be a hot seller. I think already it's up on #1 on Amazon, and it just got so
yeah,
or the pre-orders. So there you have it, man.
All right, well, good. Invader,
I'll just lastly add off that Microsoft, I hope you're paying attention, and I hope you're paying close attention to what I hope you're paying close attention to what Rocksteady is doing, because if I was Xbox, I'd sign a deal with Rocksteady and if they're making a Superman game or they're making any superhero game next, do a custom Xbox One X with the Rocksteady game bundle in. That's how you sell shit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's well said, dude. They should hire you for the marketing, because you'd sell consoles.
Yeah.
Invader, I'm going to go to you, brother. Did you see? First of all, did you see the console, and what is your take on it?
Oh yeah. I saw this. I saw the image, and I gotta say, it's a very smart bundle. We all knew this was coming. I think I kind of figured it was coming in one form or another. And the console, it looks good. It looks sharp. I think it hits a lot of the right notes. It's very simple, yet it has it works for me. I love the shade of red that they use. And honestly, I'm not one for like special bundles, and Sony has dropped the ball, in my opinion, a few times before with these bundled special bundle patterns like Battlefront 2, Call of Duty. They've had a few ugly ones, in my opinion. So this one, it really stands out. It's sharp, it's simple, it's to the point. Personally, I would have thought, like, I don't really care for the controller the way it is. I thought they could have done a little better there. But overall, I think it's a good bundle. They have a very well-known property in Spider-Man, a huge Marvel property there, and it's going to get a lot of media attention. And when that game comes out in September, I think it'll be on the NPD. I think it's a very smart move by them. It's a very good-looking console, and it's going to do well.
Nice. Well, that's well said. Gaming Forte, I'm going to go to you. Obviously, you're an Xbox guy, but you know what? We're all gamers, and we all like custom consoles. I know I personally do. What do you think? What's your take on this Spider-Man console?
Oh, man. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to tell you I like it. I do like the way it looks. I'm probably going to have the only other opinion on this panel because, and I'm going to tell it to the chat now, when you are expecting something, don't go into it with a lot of high expectations, because I wanted the God of War system, and the only reason I didn't get the God of War system is because I knew Sony was going to make a Spider-Man bundle. I was like, there's no way that I'm not going to get the Spider-Man bundle if it comes out. So that's why I skipped God of War.
Okay.
So my first thought when I saw it, I was like, okay, it's simple. It looks good, but it's simple. And to me, it was like not enough at first. And I was real upset about it for a minute. I was like, man, I wanted this to be a little bit more, probably like somewhere, put the blue somewhere on the console.
Yeah, maybe on the sides or something.
Yeah, or like the double decker, like in the middle part of the system, it be the Spider-Man blue, just to bring a little bit more contrast to it. And then I talked to my favorite person, Luca. Shout out to her.
Friend of the show.
And I told her how I felt about it. And, she said the same thing to me. And I was like, she really liked it. And I said, ultimately, I love the way the system looks. And it really just comes down to me as being a person that already has a PS4 Pro. That's the reason I'm more trying to figure out if I want to pull the trigger on this system, because if it was what I wanted it to be and what I was thinking in my head, it's a no-brainer. I would trade in my PS4 Pro now and pay towards this one. But it's just the fact that is is the simpleness and the cleanliness of the system enough for me to spend the extra $150 to $200 to get it. Now, the more I think about it, I'm more closer to saying yes, because I have been looking at the aesthetics of the system. I did sleep on the system for a while and say, hey, I think this is something I do want to get because I do really enjoy Spider-Man. And for $3.99, and you're getting the game in the box with it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a 6501 savings right there.
Exactly. So you're not really paying the $3.99 if you're trading in your old PS4 Pro or PS4 towards it. So that lessens the blow a little bit. So I think when I leave this show today, I am going up to the store and I am going to pre-order the system. But I did not feel that way last night. I had to literally sleep on it because it wasn't what I expected. So everybody in the chat, don't have high expectations for everything. Go into it with tempered expectations, because you don't want to disappoint yourself when something is really, really good looking, like this system is. And some things that people don't even know, they did announce that there is a slim version of this same system. So you don't have to get the PS4 Pro version of it. You can get the PS4 Slim 1 terabyte version. Same color scheme, same controller.
I didn't even know that.
Sure did. I found out this morning. If you go to, I'll put it in the chat for you guys can see it.
Nice. How much is that one?
It's $2.99. Same price as the regular.
Right? You know what? Wow, I do want the Pro, but hey, $2.99 is better than $3.99. Because like Noof said, I gotta go with what Noof said. This is one of those systems where I'll probably just play the God of Wars and the Spider-Mans and the Death Strandings. And Ghost of Tsushima is one that I'm really interested in.
You don't need a Pro if you
don't need a Pro. Exactly.
Because the God of War and Detroit Become Human look stunning on a regular PS4. Let's face reality.
Exactly. That $2.99 version, bro. So sign me up for that one.
Well, think about this for a second. Your $2.99 minus $65.01 you were going to pay for the game. So you're getting a custom console for over like $200. And if you trade some stuff in, even less. It's a no-brainer. And once again, hats off. I'm doing the old tipping of the hat to Sony's marketing team. I don't know who's in charge, but whoever it is, add a 0 to their salary, because God damn it, they are awesome. But listen, this has been. Look, I say this every time, and I'm new. I'm new in the sense where this is my own show. And this is only like the 13th or 14th episode. So I'm still learning. But every time I have a group of guests of quality that I have, like I have right now, I not only get goosebumps talking about it, I cannot begin to say how thankful I am that you fine gentlemen have taken the time out of your day to spend 2 hours with me, because for me personally, and I'll say this, I got something nice to say to the chat. This is a dream come true. I've always wanted to be in gaming. I'm in a position where I retired from my former career as a New York City police officer. A lot of people don't know that. I did that for 21 years. I served my city. As a fact, I went back to my old neighborhood and I served that community that I grew up in. And I was a youth officer for many years of my career, giving back to that same community. I absolutely love it. I miss serving the wonderful people of New York City. But now I'm in a position where, due to an injury, I had to retire. And you can't clean your house 7 days a week. You need to do something else. And gaming, just playing gaming, wasn't enough. And I've always wanted to be in the gaming media, but not work for one of the resident scumbags. So I decided to jump out and do my own thing. And not only have the people on the panel and many people before you have reached out their hands to me and extended friendship, but helped me build this channel. The chat that shows up every time I do one of these live shows has been nothing short of making me emotional. It's been a real great ride, and I honestly cannot thank the community for the way that they've accepted me and that they come out each and every week to watch this show. It is always heartfelt, and it always is a big deal for me personally. So thank you, panel. Thank you, chat. What I want to do is, when I have these shows, obviously I'm trying to build something, but more so than that, I want to build the people that come onto this show. I think everyone that's on this panel is one of the bright spots of this community and deserves to be put into the spotlight. Nintendo Direct, I'm going to start with you, dude. First of all, not only are we good friends, I'm going to be on your show this week, which I'm very excited to do. I think that you're one of my favorite people because you stand strong with Nintendo. You like other consoles, but you're not ashamed to say that, yes, I'm a Nintendo first guy, like it or leave it. Please tell everyone where they can follow you and where they can check out your content, because it is really good stuff.
Yes. So, yes, you can find me at youtube.com/Nintendo Direct. I am on there. I just put up an indie review for the game The Mooseman. They were generous enough to give me a actual review key, so I did that and reviewed it. So I do a lot of indie reviews on Switch. If there's games that I find interesting that I think should be spotlighted, I do those. I also do some Nintendo news. I do have a podcast on Sundays because that's like literally my only day off of work. So I do a podcast on Sunday evenings at 7:30. We don't like to take a whole lot of your time there. It's maybe a 30 to 45 minute long podcast because we know that it's Sunday and people got to spend time with their families and stuff. So we try to keep it short and sweet there. I also am dabbling in a little bit of anime. So if you are an anime fan, I'm dabbling in a little bit of anime review and anime news as well. And that's what I'm doing on the YouTube. I was streaming on YouTube, but I moved my streaming to Twitch. I just became affiliate there. So I'm building the Twitch channel. That is twitch.tv/Nintendo Direct. The I in Direct is a 1. That's growing also as well. And like I said, you can follow me at Twitch. You can follow me on Twitter. Same thing at Nintendo Direct. The I in Direct is a 1 as well. And like I said, all of it's growing. I really enjoy doing what I'm doing. I like Boom said. For me, I love to grow, but I just love meeting new people. Like that's the thing. When you meet new people in this community, and not just the fanboys, but if you meet real, genuine gamers that are passionate about gaming and you can just be good friends with, that is the best part of doing this. So everybody reach out, hang out. That's what I love doing.
Yeah, well, listen, dude, it's well appreciated. I will have you back on the show once again. Everyone's information is in the show notes, so please, if you're not following them, I highly encourage you hit them up on Twitter and check out their channels on YouTube, and please give them a sub. Noof, I'm going to go to you next, my brother. Listen, you have been really at the forefront of helping me with my channel. I really, really appreciate your view on gaming. Some people don't like the fact that you could be raw at times. I really appreciate that because you're being you, and I would never curb stomp that. I love when people come on and be themselves, and you are as clear as a piece of glass. I think that you have great content. I love what you do on YouTube. I love what you do on Mixer. Tell everyone where they could follow you and find you, bro.
That's right. It's been dynamite, but I'm leaving the room. Want to thank you one and all for coming out to breakfast with Boom. And it's been a great show, man. You guys are fantastic. Love coming on and joining you, Boom. The topics are always great, but you always seem to find an eclectic group of individuals who share a lot of the same things in common, but can also articulate very well. And I think there's a great dynamic here. Been really enjoying your growth, so keep at it. It will come definitely. Thanks again for having me on. Thanks to the chat. And guys, you know where to find me. Always in the gutter. Yes, Noof Nukem on the Xbox Live. I will post my friend code for Switch very soon. And please, Nintendo, if you're going to do at least one thing this year, at least make a messaging system on the Switch. That's all I ask for, at least. So I can send a bloody text message to my friends on Switch, like I'm going to play a game later. Are you interested? That's all I ask. Something simple, please. But that's it, guys. Thanks for coming out and joining the show. Catch me on Xbox. Again, you can find my channel on YouTube. Rate, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Think the world of you guys. Hope you do me. Thanks.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Listen, if you're not following Noof, give him a follow. He's a great dude, as genuine as they come, and it's greatly appreciated. Invader, listen, dude, you put up some new videos. Like I said, I love talking gaming with you because the way that you speak about gaming is so precise and so professional. You sound like a radio personality. I love that about you, but more so than that, I really do like your content, dude. It's always engaging. Like I'm listening to it, and I if I'm going to walk away, I pause it because I want to hear what you have to say. I think that you're an important part of this community. Please tell everyone where they could find you.
Wow, Boom, thanks. I'm very humbled. Thank you very much for sharing that. That's awesome. Yeah, everybody, thanks for coming out to check out the Breakfast with Boom. Boom has all kinds of fantastic content. I've been following Boom for, well, pretty much ever since he first came out, doing
On
YouTube.
Crossfire.
Yeah, and Crossfire. And you know what? The guy has just impressed me ever since then. I love his opinions on games. I love his content. It's just great. And thank you very much for having me again on the show. I would love to be on again. Of course, the door is always
Absolutely.
open there, my friend. And yeah, everybody on the panel, Nintendo and Gaming Forte, Blam. It's and of course Noof, my fellow gaming dosage friend. It's been great, guys. You guys are wonderful personalities in the community. And just to end this off, yeah, you guys can find me on Invader Gaming. That's my channel on YouTube. And of course, if you want to talk to me, the best ways on Twitter at Invader_1986. And hey, if you want to see me Twitch, I do some of that. I do some live streams, and you'll find me at Invader2 there. So thank you very much, guys. It's been a blast.
Oh, thank you so much for being here, dude. It's greatly appreciated. And last but certainly not least, my very, very good friend, Gaming Forte. Listen, dude, this is the first time that we're hanging out, and I don't want it to be the last. I just love your passion for the Xbox brand, but I like your gaming knowledge. I think that you really do bring something special when you're talking about gaming, and I think that you deserve to have an audience. Tell everyone where they could follow you on Twitter and on YouTube.
All right. So first, I'm gonna say this has been a surreal thing for me. I'm serious. I mean, I listen to all of these different shows when I'm at work. Being on Scumcast is one thing, but then branching out and being on this show with you, being actually across the mic from you is a whole different story. So
I appreciate it. It's very humbling. Thank you.
I really appreciate that, and I'm really happy to see where your growth is going. It's amazing. Me and you have talked in DMs multiple times about things that we can do. So definitely, I'm glad that you have the platform that you have. But guys, you can follow me at gaming_forte on Twitter, and then Gaming Forte on YouTube. I just crossed over 1,100 subscribers. So
nice, dude. Awesome.
So you guys have been all amazing. I know a lot of the people I see in the chat are on my are part of my family too. And and listening to all you guys talk, I subscribe to all of your guys' channels because everyone needs help to get to where they need to get to. We all need to communicate and talk with each other. And I definitely want to do something with all of you guys because all you guys are really close to that 1,000. And once you get there, then you just start feeling a lot even better about your channel.
Sure. Yes.
And that's the number one thing that I want everybody to preach. Don't worry about the actual number that it is. Just worry about what you're doing and how you can grow your channel. And all of you guys seem to be doing it in the right way. And that's what I appreciate the most.
Yes, well, listen, dude, it's greatly appreciated that you came on today's show. It certainly will not be the last time that you're on the show, and I'm always, obviously, I'm very, very good friends with Luca. She is a real darling, and I've been on the Scumcast before. I probably will be back again, so we'll talk more. She'll be on the show. I'll invite you again on the show because you were fantastic. And last but certainly not least, he had to go do the work, and you know what? He actually took time away from work, real life work, to be on my show, and I can't forget that. I mean that's saying something, and it is as humbling as you could possibly make it. So please do me a favor, when you're done with listening to this show, head over to Twitter and head over to YouTube and follow PTK Blam. I mean, this guy is as legit as they come. He's a passionate Xbox guy, but he's a passionate gamer, and he speaks the truth. He speaks directly from his heart. We're gonna try and collaborate on a few things because I really want to work with the dude. He's a really quality member of the community, and I'd love to see his channel grow like everyone else. And of course, I just want to make mention of something. J-Dubs, and people know him as the Graphic God. He is the producer of the M&C Morning Show, which just recently moved to Thursdays, is having a bit of a financial crisis. you know, he has a couple of daughters. He's married. He's having some, you know, and he had a couple of appliances kind of all shit out on him at once. And it was kind of one of those things you only see in the movies. Like literally his washer dryer dumped on him and something else happened in the house. And, you know I don't normally don't get in the middle of these things, but he is as genuine a human being as I've ever met. He has gone out of his way to do pro quo things for many people, not only in the chat, but many people that are not, that may watch this later on the replay for free. He does obviously banners, he does intros, he's done all of my work for my channel, and he has a GoFundMe that's in the chat. I know that times are tough for everyone. Money is just, it's not as it doesn't hold as much value in 2018 as it once did, and everyone is struggling one way or another. But if you can throw the guy $5 or $1 or $2 or something, every dollar helps. And like I said, only because it's J Dubs will I get involved. This guy is, I'm like I said, a class act human being. He's not trying to dupe us to go buy a PS4 Pro. He logistically is having some issues, and it's not only the link is in the chat. UK Dazarus, who is a good friend of the show and is also the moderator of the universe, put it there. But I have it in the show notes. Please, you know, hit him up. You know, a couple of dollars, it goes a long way. You know, if 1,000 people give $1, that's $1,000, and you know that would help his situation greatly. So I'm going to close the show out with that. Again, I want to thank my panel for being here. You guys were nothing short of astonishing. Your opinions were so well received and appreciated. I cannot thank you again. The chat, I always shout you guys out because I don't like a chat that's gross. I don't like a chat that's nasty. You guys that show up each and every week are all class act community members. You treat each other well. I appreciate that. No nastiness, no finger pointing, no cursing at one another. It's just people having fun. I like a safe space on my channel. I like a safe space in my chat. But listen, I think I've talked everyone's ear off, but once again, thank you for coming out, everyone, and I will see you next Friday on the next episode of Breakfast with Boom.